many more cases than we can possibly debut on a thumbnail. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We've got a lot of cases to cover and a heck of a lot more than the 4 stories we've got sitting here right now. And we have a new case. An RN is missing after dropping her child off at daycare or school and has never been seen again. We're going to be diving into all of those details in this episode of the Bullhorn Betty channel. So come on in, sit on down, get comfortable. We're going to be here for a little while, and let's dig in.
Bullhorn Betty rocks.
Come on in.
Coffee steaming, files on the table. We clocking early, hunt what's unstable. Bullhorn Betty on the curb, voice raised. Flip-flop queen with the homemade phrase. Notebook thick, got the screenshots flagged. Names in red ink, every rumor, every tag. Late night live stream, screen glow on her face. Truth in her throat, got a lawman's pace. She don't blink when the threats roll through. Come see me, she says, if you think that's cute. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. Insane Asylum, that's our crew nickname. Laugh so loud while we track these names. Whiteboard wild with the webs we spin. Pen to pen, see the pattern sink in. Turbo shaking when the case goes cold. We stir it back up, won't do what we're told. Doorstep question, side eye stare. Where were you that night? We hanging right there. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that they gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we get that justice. This for the faces on the milk cart labels. This for the families praying at tables. This for the names that the news won't say. We say them out loud every single day. Every day. If you're running in the dark, better feel that fear. Betty got a bullhorn right in your ear. Coffee club crazy, but we think so clear. One small town, whole world gonna hear. Hey! Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. We hunt bad guys till the sun comes up. From the front porch steps to the courthouse rug. We fighting for the ones that the day gave up. Bullhorn Betty in the coffee club. Sip that truth from a styrofoam cup. From the quiet streets to the madhouse buzz. We ain't letting go till we take credit.
Well, good morning, my beautiful peoples. Good morning. It's nice to see y'all. It's nice to see you. I don't even think I put my... Did I put my stuff up? I didn't even put my stuff up. Look at that. Look at that. I'm just all over the place today. I got a little jiggy with it, and I prematurely hit the live button. Oh, let's hopefully we don't drop the stream. But I do love the first photo. It does kind of talk about how we feel. In today's society, being ignorant of facts doesn't make them any less true. Ignorance is not bliss. And in today's society in 2026, ignorance is a choice. When you have things like AI where you can just speak in there and get an answer, and you choose not to speak in there and get an answer, well, that's kind of on you. I'm just saying, it's just kind of on you. So good morning, everybody. I'm having my first cup of coffee with all of y'all. And I forgot to put sweetener in it, but that's okay. I do love a good old cup of coffee. There's OG Chitter. Look at you. Look at you. Guys, we do have a question. If you'd like to support this channel while answering some questions, the question today is kind of a little deep. Why do people choose murder over divorce? Answer our question of the day while helping support the Bullhorn Betty channel. This is a little deep. Why? Because you got to remember, we have that lady. What was it? The guy that was like the ghost hunter, the paranormal guy, and his wife didn't want a divorce. She wanted like homicide. She even talked to the cop that was acting like the hitman and saying, "Am I a terrible person for wanting to, my husband instead of divorce him?" Like, these people are like, they know consciously what they're doing. So the idea, sometimes you wonder, did they just lose their stuff? Did they not, think this out? No, they know. In their mind, they know what they're doing. They're completely, totally aware. Premeditated. Take them, wipe them off the face of the earth because you don't want to go through the divorce and split money. And usually always money is the root of a lot of evils. I'm not going to say it's the root of all evils, but it's the root of a lot of evils. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Pam, good morning. Good morning. Jekyll and Hyde, it's nice to see you, love. Summary, good morning. Aletha. Jade, it's nice to see you. Mystic Unwinds, good morning. Lisa C. from New Jersey, it's nice to see you. Jennifer, good morning, love. Open Mind, I read it before you deleted it. I sold it. It's nice to see you. Ruby, the Ruby Pearl Glamper, it's nice to see you. Marilyn, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. Look at that nerdy girl up early this morning. Mama, busy mama up in the house. Faye, good morning. Eric, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you are doing well. G-E girl, J-E girl, good gracious. I can see that, and I still say G-E. Why do I do that? Why do I want to do that? Why does every time I see a G, I want to say a J? Or a J, one G. Anyways. Our beautiful Sonia is up super early this morning. It's nice to see you. She's probably getting the crust out of her eyes and saying, "Betty, what are you doing rolling so early?" I don't know. It's Friday. I was up. There were storms, and Delilah got scared of the thunder, and she woke me up. She started licking my face at like 5 o'clock this morning, and I'm like, it's, I used to get up at 2 and 3, 5. Okay, I'll roll with it. And then her and I went to go snuggle back together. And then I ended up saying, this weather, she woke me up. Now I can't go back to sleep. So that's why we're here. Alicia, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Midnight Moon, Little Orange Man. Frank it up. Good morning. OG, thank you for that. Oh, you know what? I don't even have the other phone hooked up. Hold on. We're missing a lot of stuff. Hold on. That's what happens when Betty rolls early. That's what happens. Oh, sometimes I wish I had a camera crew, because I wish I could take you into the bedroom to see little Lila being on a little pillow curled up, and I got a little throw over her, and she just got her little head poking out, and I went in there and she just poked her little head up like, "Hey, I'm still here, mommy." My little baby. Yes, we need some buttons. I can't do a show without my buttons. I like my buttons, especially my laughy buttons. I downsized on this phone. So before I had like 12 buttons, and I only installed like 6 buttons on this phone. So just to let you know, and there now it's 8 buttons. Excuse me, it was 8 buttons. I just saw them. All right, let's see what we got here. We are in like Flynn. I love it. All right, we got our buttons back. Can't run the show without these buttons. I'm sorry. I just can't. Diana, it's nice to see you. Little Orange Man, I think I said hi to you, but just in case I didn't. Let them 66. Hello. I know I said hi to all of you. D, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Summary, because people are selfish. If you can't if I can't have you, no one can have you mentality. Sometimes it's just about not having to share money or the children. I think that's what it is. And, I think it's more about money and children and visitation than in some of these cases than it is money. Of course, in other cases, it's absolutely about money. They don't want to split the money. They want all the money to themselves. They're just psycho over money. I've been around a lot of money. I dated a guy that had millions of dollars. I dated guys that had $0. When I was younger, my family lived, not a golden spoon, but definitely a silver or brass spoon right in our mouths. So, we came from money. Not lots of money, but we lived next to doctors, lawyers, car dealership owners, and stuff like that. So I have to think I lived a decent life, But at the end of the day, I got to think of it, My parents got a divorce. It was a tug and pull, and theirs was more about, money and finances than it really was. They didn't fight over us kids. My dad was a father, he knew his responsibilities. Even when we were going through, he never let my mom go without. I'm sorry, but in today's society, if you've really got to have a court tell you that you are the father and that you have financial responsibilities to your children, I don't think it should be a court. I think men should know that they have a responsibility to their children, like my father did, right? My mom never had to go to court and wrestle money out of my dad. My dad knew that we were his kids and that we needed to be taken care of. If mom needed groceries, he got her groceries. If the kids needed, clothes on their back, we got clothes on our back. There was no fighting on whose children it is and how much responsibility what parent had. At the end of the day, they're both parents. They both took care of us. They didn't need a court. One thing I can tell you about my parents' divorce, they never fought over child support or anything like that. There was never a question. My parents took care of their kids. And I just find it, I don't know. Maybe it's a pet peeve of mine because of the way my family, my mom and dad, we didn't live in the, you guys, I don't want to disparage any of my family because I love my family, but and in life, I try to be honest with you, as honest as possible with you guys, but everybody has their own skeletons. There's a lot of shit that goes on behind closed doors, as many of you know, and we have a lot of divorces. So it's not like it's all pink bows and butterflies behind closed doors, okay? And this is reality for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, one thing out of my childhood I can always remember is my parents never fought over the children or support of the children. That was never even part of their divorce. It just wasn't. It wasn't part of their divorce. So I don't know. They just kept the kids out of it. And I just appreciate, out of all the stuff that's gone on, I appreciate that. As an adult, looking back on those times, I appreciate me and my sister not being the struggle, right? It was everything else. But me and my sister, granted, I was not the easiest child to deal with, period. But still, my parents weren't arguing over the kids. They were arguing over the kids, but they were arguing over the unmanageability of the kids, not the financial support of the kids, okay? I was hell on wheels. They had enough to deal with just me, okay? My mom was probably, just take her, get her out of my hair. Rocky, it's nice to see you. Charlene, good morning. Danielle, did I say Charlene? Carlene. I think it's Carlene. I'm sorry. I think I said your name wrong. Sorry about that. Patty, Grave Crime with Grace, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Mystic Unwind, I think I said hi to you. Adele, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Beautiful name. Patty, Carol, it's nice to see you. It's just so nice to see you, Grave Crime with Grace. Aww. I do want to tell you guys, I do have the documents. I'm still not going to show the documents up for you guys. There's a reason for it, but Darla, it's nice to see you. Betty, good morning. Did you hear about the missing soldier from Fort Bragg who went missing in Sand Hills of North Carolina? He's still missing and needs to be found. He has a baby on the way. Holy crap. No, I did not hear about that, Darla. Let's see here. Is it going to screw up my channel? I don't know. Sometimes I got a lot of stuff here. I'm surprised I'm not a little more having more technical issues. Because usually if I have this many things open, I have problems, and I've got a lot open. We got a lot to cover. I probably need to start going through here and getting some of this stuff cleared out. So let's do Fort Bragg's missing soldier. Oh. Javeayah Anderson, U.S. Army Special, I don't know what SPC means. Javeayah Anderson, 25, is an actively missing from Fort Bragg's, North Carolina. Last seen on June 29th. He failed to report for formation, prompting a missing person investigation. Led by the Army Criminal Investigation, Anderson's family and investigators have conducted search of known residents, reviewed surveillance, examined travel records, but no accountable leads have emerged. Wow. You don't think he went MIA, do you? Do you think this is something more serious? Wow, that's kind of interesting. We'll I've got it pulled up. If we have time, well, we're going to have time. However long this show goes, I'll try to get to it. It's in the thing, so we'll talk about that. Absolutely, Betty. Our day, parents divorced, but took care of all kids. Nobody had to tell either how to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This day and age, it seems like everybody's got to go to court to find out what their child support is. It's like, at the end of the day, your child needs to be taken care of. You know, I don't know how much my father paid my mom, but I know every week he'd come over there with a wad of cash. I didn't get into their finances. We were too young into their finances. My dad did a lot of, dirty shit. Don't misunderstand me. He did a lot of, because they were getting divorced. They did a lot of hinky, dirty stuff to each other. Divorces are not sweet, okay? I mean, to be honest with you, I think the best divorce I've ever seen is mine with my ex-husband. We didn't argue about nothing, still stayed friends. We just live different things. We still talk. We're still amicable. Even our divorce wasn't amicable. We didn't scream, yell, tut. I went out there. I'm like, we've been living in separate rooms. We've been living like, business partners and stuff like that. Like, I'm ready to move on. And he's like, well, I'm going to need that. Look, if we're going to be fighting about the houses, we're going to get attorneys involved. I said, damn well I'm keeping the house. So let's figure something else out. And he's like, okay. that was basically it. And then we went ahead and divided everything. We went to court. We did the divorce. He stayed here for like a couple weeks, and then it was like, he was going out with his brother late at night and stuff like that. I wasn't having all that, and I'm like, it's time for you to start moving on with your life. So he moved out. He went to Ohio. We had our separation. Then he came back in time for our divorce. And we remained friends ever since. So it was, it wasn't, I never had those problems. But my dad did do some dirty shit, He did some dirty shit. He did some, taking the money out of the joint account, just doing all around stuff, not paying the mortgages on the houses to make it, more difficult. He had all the money to pay the mortgages, of course, whenever the time came. But just some dirty shit, just to make it more difficult, to make it more untantalizing, or wanting to get so many properties. My mom just wanted a house. But anyways, that's TMI, too much information. But long story short, divorces are not easy, but that versus spending the rest of your life, like, you're literally gambling with your life to eat your ex. Like, is it really worth it? I mean, maybe that immediate self gratification might, because you've been probably screaming from the rooftop, I can't wait to get my hands around your neck, right? And usually it's hyperbole or satire, or just you talking off the cuff, but nobody ever anticipates like carrying on or carrying out those actions, right? I mean, I can't imagine if I really killed everybody that I said I wanted to kill when I was younger. I don't think they would have ever let me out of jail. I don't think I'd be Bullhorn Betty. I think I'd be buried under the jail. So a lot of us probably spit a lot of crap out of our mouth that we never intend to follow through on, okay? And that's okay. My father paid $30 a month for 3. Oh, that's low. Yeah, my dad didn't. My dad took care of us. We were well taken care of kids, and my mom and dad both did. They fought about a lot of shit. I just want to be very clear. I mean, they were divorced couple. They did not get along, okay? They did not get along. But one thing they did not fight over, even when they probably should have, because I'm surprised that I'm surprised I wasn't thrown out. I wasn't spit out. They're like, oh no, we'll take Angela. We'll leave her in the state. We'll leave her with the state. Well, I used to say some crazy crap to my ex. Exactly. But none of us ever intend to follow through with it. But there's a lot of cases that we're covering this morning that are violent, that have domestic violence. Even this Ohio case, guys, I'm going to shock you here in just a few minutes, because we're going to take a few moments. I've got a lot to cover on this show, lots and lots, and we're already like 20 minutes into the show and I haven't even started. I don't even think, I do have this up. First, I want to go through some stuff with you, some political stuff with you, and it's just two little things. What is this? Do I not have this? Hold on. I like this guy. This guy's hilarious. He cracks me up.
Hey guys, John Kennedy here. To do my job as a United States Senator, I have to grind it out. I have to read hours and hours and hours every week, and here's why. Some of my colleagues are brilliant. They're just, a guy like Marco Rubio, for example, Ted Cruz, Gene Sheen, Peter Welch. I'm not going to name all my colleagues in the Senate. But
pull up Pete, man. I never even seen
Peter Welch. He's from Vermont.
Pull him up.
These people are brilliant.
There he is.
But I have
I
have to work at it.
Peter looks he looks studious though.
He's a smart guy.
I never heard of him
But
before.
he can probably spot me 50 IQ points. But he's not going to outwork me.
Amen.
I'll work harder than an ugly stripper, man. That's how I was raised. I've always been able to outwork people.
I like this guy.
Dang, dude.
I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle. Some of the stuff that rolls out of this man's mouth, this is not even the funniest stuff, okay? He talks about, a 12-piece bucket of, or 13-piece bucket of chicken crazy.
That's awesome.
I might get in trouble for saying that.
Hey, no problems here. My god cousin is a stripper, so he was.
God bless him.
Anyways, that's your okay. Let's keep moving on. Now, this is more of a serious note for our Pennsylvania people out there. Okay, apparently there was something struck down as unconstitutional with homicide sentencing. Okay, this is serious. So there appears to be a shocking number of 1,000 people that are lifers. That means they're in prison for life. They're never going to get out. Why we have to cage animals for life, I don't understand that. In this country, I feel like it's wasted money. These people will never have a life. I think it's inhumane. I think we should let them go to wherever they need to go, their next plantation. But I digress. At the end of the day, this is leaving about 1,000 Pennsylvania people that are serving life in prison, and it's leaving them in limbo related to this new law. They've got to figure out what they're going to do, and of course the Congress never even acted on it. So this is something that I think is pretty important here. And I'm just going to read a few lines of this. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Melanie gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. Diane Miller, you have received that Bullhorn Betty membership. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club. The insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. And I'm doing danger because I'm a love machine. Ow! Danger. So thank you for that. So Pennsylvania lawmakers recessed Sunday without fixing the Commonwealth's unconstitutional sentencing scheme for second-degree murder, making it increasingly likely they will miss a deadline set by the state Supreme Court and leave the issue in limbo. A killing is considered second-degree murder if it occurs during the course of a violent felony, including robbery, rape, or arson. Someone can be found guilty of the crime if they participated in an underlying felony, even if their actions didn't lead directly to another person's death. Because of this, a person in Pennsylvania who serves as a getaway driver during a botched robbery or caused an injury that later led to a death currently receives the same sentencing as someone who knowingly plotted and carried out the killing. However, in March, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled in Commonwealth versus Lee that mandatory life without parole for second-degree murder is unnecessarily cruel under the state constitution. So they're basically trying to overturn a mandatory life in prison sentence for second-degree murder. This is a problem for you folks in Pennsylvania. I think this needs to go to the Supreme Court. The court gave lawmakers until July 24th to rewrite sentencing law. While we have a clear obligation to ensure that constitutional bounds are not crossed, we may not act as legislatures who are best positioned to effectuate penal reform, wrote Chief Justice Deborah Todd in the majority, for the majority, rather. They also declined to make the ruling retroactive, leaving it up to the legislature to decide whether people already serving life sentence for second-degree murder convictions should be up for parole. That is freaking scary. Oh my gosh. But months of talks among advocate for criminal justice reform, district attorney, and members of the split legislatures have not produced a compromise. The state Senate twice tried to move a version of a proposal that would create a 35-year mandatory sentence for adults convicted of second-degree murder, with few exceptions, as well as a pathway for release for those already serving. However, State Representative Tim Briggs, Democrat of Montgomery, a key House lawmaker on criminal justice issue, told Spotlight PA the proposal is too punitive. Guys, they're going to be able to murder us. They're going to be able to walk around this country and start murdering us and only throwing people in jail for 10 years. This is scary in Pennsylvania. I hope that they move this up to the Supreme Court. I think this is a Supreme Court matter. If the legislature misses the deadline, the state Supreme Court decision will take effect, leaving individual common pleas judges across the state to dole out fair sentences without legislative guidance. This is bad. And the fate of more than 1,100 people already in prison on second-degree murder convictions will likely be decided by state's higher court, as civil rights lawyers stand ready to petition the body for further clarity. We're going to have a bunch of people freaking being dumped on that have killed people or been involved in homicides, being dumped out all over the roads of PA. If you guys, and I know we have some people in Pennsylvania here that I love and adore, so maybe it's time for you guys to start making some calls. I can't do this for you. This is state. This is nothing that anybody outside of the people in the state can help you with. Every state, regardless of Commonwealth, makes own laws and have their own they do, but they cannot oversee. They cannot be. This U.S. Constitution is still the standard. Federal law still is supreme in this land, and every state constitution has to mimic that. They have to mimic that, you know? They can't I don't know. I still think this is a Supreme Court issue. I think this is a good Supreme Court issue because this is about the dump homicide, people that have committed murders. Now, granted, do I believe that every person that commits murder is going to reoffend? I don't. Sometimes it's a perfect storm of conditions. I don't know what a better word to use on the dime. Do I believe that there are some things that a person was either put themselves in, or supremacy rules, and it's going to be the federal law rules, the law of the land. Yes, we have, states are sovereign and they have their own, but they can't be more restrictive than the Constitution. I mean, they have to be balanced. I can't remember the exact wording I'm using, but I know I'm partially right and partially wrong. So I can't remember the balance off the top of my head. I'll have to research it. Maybe when we have some time later, we will research this topic. It is an important topic to understand. But But this is scary where your PA legislature is not doing anything to decide these things. They're leaving this up, and we're going to end up having a few people that are probably dangerous criminals that are going to fall through the cracks of this right here, and they're going to be let out on the streets to wreak havoc again. You got to understand, some of these families are terrified of these people. And if these people get out, they will start harassing or attacking them. I can't imagine being in PA right now and dealing with this, but this is something that I think everybody needs to know. So I just thought I'd throw this out there. Please do your own research, do your own fact finding, figure out what is going on in this world, you know, in your state. This right here, I don't know how I would handle if this was going on in my state. I really don't. But I can tell you that this is serious for me. This is serious. State law cannot violate the U.S. Bill of Rights. Thank you, Shiny Puppers. Appreciate you. Veronica B. Truly gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. Thank you, by the way, for those. It looks like Shanna Jekyll and Hyde, been part of our family for a while, but is this official? Twin Mammy? Mariana, or Mary Ann's? Marian? And Angela, welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. And you get a big one too, because I'm a love machine. Ow! Should the justices apply their rule to people who are already convicted, courts across the state will almost certainly be flooded with hundreds of petitions from those serving life in second-degree cases. I'm sorry, life should be a standard. I'm sorry. Somebody died. And most of these people knew better. And they knew what they were doing was a crime, and they knew that somebody could potentially lose their life, and they choose to do it anyways. I'm sorry. And they can be able to walk among us because PA, this is crazy. Some advocates are ready to file their petitions telling Spotlight PA the courts might produce better outcomes for clients than the state Senate's proposed path forward. We're not afraid of going after mass resentencing. Oh my gosh. That's awful. That's awful. Okay, guys, I want to get back here into the case of the 16 kids that were removed from the home. We looked at Elizabeth. Our hearts kind of break for Elizabeth Siders. She was 13 when she got with Gary Jr. He's the golden boy of these two people. And everybody is just shocked that they're living the way that they're living. Look at what they looked like in 2018. They looked lively. They looked alive. They looked happy. So, guys, I made this utterance the other day, and I said there's just something deep inside of me that really believes that Gary Jr. is the catalyst for all of this. I feel like he's the heavy hand. Everybody is scared of him. And then I also see his eye. His eye over here. His eye was wandering at the time. I think it got worse as he's losing his condition. But you see life in both of these people. You see life, guy. Yes. What happened to this family? That is my question. How did this happen? It doesn't look like any of these people were. I feel like it's Gary. I think we're going to find out Gary is this massive drug addict, this massive abuser. And it's like, you know, he has controlled his family so much. And then, of course, his family starts diminishing, you know, in their capacities. And he starts taking over for them without knowing what to do. Now he's got 16 children, a wife, and 2 elderly parents that need help. So I'm not sure what is going on here when it comes to this case, but let's go ahead and read this and just see. Well, actually, I don't need to read anything. I just wanted to show you guys what is going on here. It looks like I'm getting off, so let me just move this past this, and we'll read this while my camera starts catching up. The House of Horrors case rocks one of Ohio's poorest counties, plus officials say many of the 16 children require therapeutic foster cares. There is much mystery surrounding the tragic case. Below is a photo of Gary and Christina Siders from 2018 next to their booking photo. I think this was in 2018. What happened shortly after that? 2019 and 20 is when what happened? We had COVID. Now, I don't know what happened to these people, but I think maybe the isolation, this might be something that just started back then. But you can see a clear difference. Whenever you look at Elizabeth Siders and look at her now, it's scary. Whenever you look at mom and dad and you look at them now, it's scary. But whenever you look at Gary Siders then and you look at Gary Siders now, he hasn't changed. But everybody else around him has. So I think what we're going to find out is Gary Siders Jr. is the responsible party here. I truly believe he's abused his wife. I believe he's been abusing his parents for years. And I believe that this is all just this is just the tip of the iceberg on what we're going to find out. I think his mom and dad started losing their faculties and they became more controllable. There is no legal or functional difference between state or commonwealth. It's a stylistic terminology. U.S. territories being we have different laws for different things. Commonwealth act under a different law design than a property state. I can't remember what it's called. I'm trying to remember all this stuff on the fly. It's been a little while, but community property state and commonwealth. Those are two different acting laws, and they have different ways of governing. But they still have to act under the Constitution. But there are differences because I studied those when I went to school, and I know that there is one is community property and one is commonwealth, and I can't remember what the differences are, and I think it has to do with the division of different properties, but I know it's just not with just property itself. It has to do with other laws and stuff like that. So our laws, corrosive control by the sun is something like that. Shenanigans, something like that. Like I feel like there's something like that, yeah. But I feel like the sun's been the catalyst for all of this for some time. But I just thought it was interesting to see this because I was shocked to see them. They look like normal. I mean, look at them over there on the left-hand side of the screen. I mean, they look very warm and welcoming. Do they not? They look sweet and kind. Like if you were having a problem and you saw them standing there, you'd go up there to ask them for help. The people next to them, however, look pretty freaking scary. How did we get from how did all these people go from bright, happy, doting people to this hallowed out human beings that they become? This is pretty scary. This is pretty scary. So I don't know, guys. I'm just saying I'm not the be all in this. I'm just showing you what I'm finding, and it seems like everybody seemed to be lively until Gary took over, Junior took over, and then it's like everybody just lost everything. I don't know what that is, what that means, how that is. What's what, right? Court records reveal that the Siders family, now accused of endangering 16 children, had prior legal issues at Javeayah County involving school attendance concerns in 2021. And again, this is stuff like we're in 2026, in the middle of 2026. You're talking about 4 or 5 years. Why are they just now bringing this up? And what are the processes? It's not like these people moved out of state. They moved up to a different county that's connected to this Javeayah County. And you're telling me you have a problem following these people from your county to the next county over? That's all people have to do to confuse the Department of Children and Family Services? It seems like some people were lazy and didn't do their job. That's what it looks like to me. In October of 2021, an attendance officer from Javeayah County Local Schools filed a multiple complaint alleging 6 Sider children, 7 to 13 at the time, were absent from school without legitimate excuse for the entire year up to that point. That the complaints also accused the parents, Gary and Elizabeth Siders, of failing to send their children to school as required by law. The family address was listed as Honeysuckle Drive in Cheshire, Ohio, in court records. However, the case did not progress because the summons were not returned marked vacant house. By January 2022, the case was terminated as the family could not be located. That should prompt, when a family can't be located, that should prompt. It should not be a closed file. That should prompt a nationwide investigation to locate that family. The Department of Children and Family Services may be state by state, but they are a government. They are a federal government. They are federal. That act within the state. We get federal funds. They should be able to get a hold of federal law enforcement if necessary to locate families if necessary. They should have that authority. And I believe they do. They just end up closing the case instead of doing their job and hunting and trying to figure out what happened to the kids. This is why kids fall through the cracks. This right here is exactly how children get killed and murdered at the hands of their parents and go years without us finding out. Because if they can't locate the family, guess what? They just close the case. They just close the case. Unbelievable. Now the Sider family is at the center of a more severe case in Vinton County, where investigators allege that 16 children were found living in severe filth, confined to a 12 by 12 foot room. And we saw that room, and it literally had beds just lined the entire room. Beds from one side of the room to the other. Beds. During a meeting of Ohio Controlled Board on Monday, state leaders acknowledged the broader implications of the case. I've never seen anything like this, said Joel Potts of Ohio Department of Children and Families Youth. And I want to remind you, there were 4 adults living in that house. 4 adults and 16 children. Some that should have been able to help keep the house clean. So you're talking about all of these adults in the house and nobody can keep a house clean or throw garbage out. I do think we go through and do our investigation and we talk to these kids and really start looking into things. We will have a much better sense of how we can certainly improve the system. Hey, maybe not closing out cases when you know you have children in danger. You know, that could be the first thing that you can choose to do, right? That's the first thing that somebody can choose to do. Why is everything always... Except the freaking advertisements.
An update that might make it a little harder to now report on them. I'm talking first about the so-called Ohio House of Horrors, where the judge has gagged officials from discussing this case as far as it's related to Gary Siders Jr., one of the defendants, the apparent father to the 16 children.
Oh, I bet they are trying to gag him.
In a small room in a feces-covered...
I want to make sure you guys understand that the person's attorney that's pushing for all these gag orders, guess who they are? Gary Siders Jr. Gary Siders Jr. is pushing so hard. His attorney is pushing hard to have all of this stuff gagged. It's nobody else's attorney asking for gag orders. Just Gary. I mean, I'm sure that they're all in agreement to, but in part. But the pusher of these gag orders is Gary Jr. And again, when I started seeing Elizabeth and I started seeing Mom and Dad, and it wasn't until Gary Sr. went to the hospital and we realized his faculties aren't all there. He's kind of gone upstairs. That's when I realized, wait a minute. Gary Jr. is the one that married this young, very, very young girl, 15, while he was 18. And now his dad's out of his elements, not there, so his dad can't help him. His dad's gone. And then you got the mom that looks pretty scary herself. So you're looking at all of this, and now you're starting to put pieces together, and you realize Gary Jr. is the one running the show here. He's the one that's having these indecent exposure type of charges. You know, his wife is the one that's laying on her back all day, every day, having all these damn babies. So there's abuse there. You can tell that he's not honoring his wife. Nobody honors their wife by making them have all these babies and not taking care of all these babies, but keeping married to her and having her on. So I can already tell there's abuse there for him and her. And then you look at the mom and dad, and they kind of look a little crazy. But then when you look at this, like, they look normal. So normal. Just a handful of years ago. Asked for a gag order. Christina Siders asked for a gag order. I wonder if it's going to be, we're going to find out she's involved too. Because she does look kind of mean. But she looked very sweet in that one photo. She looked very sweet and ginger with her husband in that one photo, with a big smile on her face. I just can't imagine. I'm sure Christina Siders' attorney might be asking for a gag order as well, but I know the pusher of these gag orders from both of them, they're going for the second one was Junior's attorney that was pushing for them. I remember hearing the first one from Junior's attorney. Well, this is a second round of gag orders that they're asking for.
Dilapidated house, barely able to communicate. Those are the allegations. LA Magazine contributor and friend of the show, Lauren Conlon, has been lead.
Look at him. He is the only one. His dad is gone. And Elizabeth, let's face it, she's kind of gone too. So now we only have two people here, and we don't know about Christina yet. We haven't heard her speak. We haven't heard anything about her yet, so we don't know anything about her. But him, he's the only one that looks identical all these years ago and looks identical now. However, his dad looks different, his mom looks different, and his wife looks different. He's the only one that looks the same. Why?
Meeting with a reporting on this story and obtained that order. Here is some of what it says. Quote, the court finds, given the publicity thus far, that any statements made to media by the Ohio Attorney General's office, the Vinton County Prosecutor's office, Vinton County Clerk of Courts, and the Vinton County Sheriff's Office, and any party related to the investigation or prosecution of the alleged crimes, quite broad, including defense counsel, would create a reasonable likelihood of prejudicial pretrial publicity, which may impact the ability to impanel an impartial jury. Now, so far, it appears that the other three defendants, Gary Jr.'s wife, Elizabeth Siders, the children's mother, and his parents, Christina and Gary Siders Sr., they don't share that same gag order. So maybe that could change. But the other big story...
Oh, let me hear that again. Hold on. Let me hear that again. Let me go back a few seconds.
Gary Jr.'s wife, Elizabeth Siders, the children's mother, and his parents, Christina and Gary Siders Sr., they don't share that same gag order. So maybe that could change. But the other big story that's facing a big roadblock has to do with the story of the mystery of a missing retired general.
Okay, we're going to get into the whole science of people. That's all I wanted you guys to hear related to that. And, you know, these are the statements that they're trying to hide from the courts, that almost all the 16 children were feral. They didn't communicate. They didn't know how to, they were not developed or developed at their age. They were severely malnourished. They were severely uneducated. They were hidden away like secrets in a back room of a house. And you got to understand why. The question is why. Who would have 16 children and not take care of them and be married to the wife that had them? I can't imagine the pain that Elizabeth has gone through in her years in this family. It's just, it's hard. It's hard to fathom how this family got here. I think that's what's so shocking to all of us is how did they get here? You know, we deal with bad parents and bad cases, but this one seems almost mental illness because you see the house. The house looks like a hoarder's house. We know hoarding is a mental illness. So that is my first indicator that we're dealing with some mental illness here. Now, whether it's Christina's, Elizabeth's, Junior's, I don't think we're dealing with mental illness with Senior. I think we're dealing with dementia with Senior. I think he's checked out. I don't think he's he's all there. I mean, he's there. I'm sure he has lucid moments, but at the end of the day, I don't think his brain is working. I think his brain is failing him. And I think that's going to really be his saving grace. But in reality, I think that if his brain was working, he would never allow him or his family to live like this. I bet you anything, this man, a senior, probably worked his rear end off his entire life to give his wife and son and children a good life. We're hearing from family members saying, there's no way my aunt and uncle would live in filth. And so I'm thinking, what do you mean there's no way they would live in filth, that they would live like this, that they wouldn't take care of this? We're hearing this from the family. And so now we're starting to look at this, and we're hearing from Elizabeth's family showing all these pictures of her before she got with Gary. And we're looking at the mom and dad of Gary previously before living with Gary. And now all of a sudden everybody's living together and looks like they're ready to die. Like everybody's pasty white, doesn't look like they've gone out in the sun in forever. It's like something out of a V.C. Andrews movie, like Locked in the Attic crap, you know? Like it's twisted. I don't know what else to say. Thank you, Lori. Thank you. But it's twisted. This whole thing is just twisted. So let me thank you guys. Who else do we have here? I see a few things coming in, so give me just a second while this switches over. There we go. So OG Jitterbug, Melanie, Veronica, and Lori, thank you guys so very much for all your love and support of this channel. We do appreciate you. Thank you guys. Thank you. All right, I think it's now time to roll over to, I'm pretty sure we're rolling over to another case. No, we're not. So here's the second gag order. This is what we're learning with the second gag order. A second gag order has been requested in the case against the adults accused of the the child endangerment of 16 children. Days after a gag order was approved by Judge Lena Featheroff Rogers in the case against Gary Siders Sr., State Public Defender Kendra Roberts filed a motion for a gag order in the case against, case against Christina Siders. For a previously report on this story, view the video played above, blah, blah, blah. This is the first movement within the case against Christina, who is also facing. So we got one for Gary Siders. I thought we had one for Gary. I thought it was being pushed by Gary Jr., but they're saying no, this is being pushed by Senior, and this is being pushed by Mom and Dad's attorney. The adults are facing charges after law enforcement entered their home in Hamden, a village of about 700 people, about 80 miles from Columbus. 7 of the children were taken to hospitals, including 2 who were flown to Columbus trauma centers. The motion requests the order to prohibiting all parties from releasing information regarding the merits of facts and evidence and materials of discovery or information otherwise collected by the parties in preparation of trial. So basically, they don't want anybody leaking any information from what's already leaked. I think what's already leaked is pretty damning anyways. In all fairness, I mean, we've got them talking about their children being feral. I mean, that's pretty crazy. So that's the 16 children. Is this case heating up? I think we're going to find out that the culprit in this case is going to be Gary Jr. I'm sure we might find out some more information, but from what I'm reading, it doesn't sound like Christina and Senior was, Mom and Dad were with them very long. It seems like they have just recently, all kind of moved in together. It's just really weird. I don't know what's going on, but something ain't right here when it comes to this. And we know that. And it seems like something started happening back in 2021. And I don't know what that is. But it seems like at least 7 of the 16 children were going to school. And then all of a sudden in 2021, they just had these unexplained absences. Nobody knew where the kids were. Betty, look up Angel Brophy missing. We're coming up to her. Thank you, Shiny Peppers. Yeah, she's in our wheel. She's in our wheel. We've got her kind of closer to the end because I'm going to be diving into her a little deeper. So, yeah, we've got her. That's the RN that I'm talking about that disappeared from she dropped her child or children off at I don't know if she had one or two children, but she dropped her child off and then she just disappeared. She vanished. She's coming up. She's coming up. We've got her pulled. So just a FYI, that's why I said when I did my intro coming in here, we got more cases than 4 that we're going over. It's because we don't really have enough information on Lynette or Nancy Guthrie's case to have a 2-hour show, but we have all these other cases, little cases that we're not covering very deeply, but we are covering on a surface level. Javeayah Harris is one of the little girls that I actually did boots on the grounds coverage for in South Carolina when I was covering Elena Moore. She disappeared at that time. This is the first time I've ever had my car searched by law enforcement, and it was because this child was missing. And I remember bringing that up, saying, how weird it is that we have this child missing, and out of all the child cases I've covered, boots on the ground, this is the first time my car's been searched. Like, I feel like the cars should have been searched this entire time, but have not. So let's just get into this.
A News 1226 exclusive tonight. We now have the dash cam video from the night of June 30th when Javeayah Harris was falsely reported missing by her mother.
Your Sydney Hood joins us from the studio now to break down what those videos show. Sydney.
This video takes us back to the very beginning of this case. Our first look at the initial moments when deputies were...
Look how dark it is outside. And this is when law enforcement comes there. You're going to try to convince me that you're going to have a child that you believe, a 4-year-old child that you believe has autism, playing in the yard out there in the country. Look how dark. You can see how light it is up on the ground, but what you're failing to see is how extremely dark it is on the ground. Even though the light is up, but when you're out there in the country and you have all these trees, it blocks a lot of that light, making the grounds a lot darker than they would be. So I see the light kind of up here in this area, but you see how dark it is? You can't even see down here. You can't even see hardly anything on the sides of the roads. You see how dark it is? And the only thing lighting up this road is this guy's headlights. So I just want to point that out. Look how dark these people are over here. It's pitch black. It's pitch black. So I just want to point that out. Who's going to have their child out in these conditions by themselves in the front yard? Nobody, especially in a house you just moved into. You don't even know the area yet. And not only that, she even puts in the 911 call. When we were covering this, apparently I'm going to get caught back up. But think about it. The 911 call, what did she say? She even referenced the crackheads that walk behind the property. That's what she said in that recording of the 911 call. She specifically said those words, crackhead, right? So you're telling me that you're aware that people of that nature are walking behind your property and you're going to let your little girl be in the front yard without you being out there with her? That doesn't make sense. There's a lot of red flags here. Lots of red flags. So here's the dashboard camera.
Treating this as a missing child case. Now, the first deputy arrives just before 8:50 the night of June 30th. On the left of your screen there, you can see deputies walking in the yard at the house on Hillsborough Street. You can also see what appears to be Miss Chalet in the yard speaking to the responding deputy. Deputies began spreading out on the property with flashlights, searching the property while neighbors walk over to help. Then around 9 o'clock that evening, Javeayah Harris speeds into the driveway, driving the truck that has stayed on the property throughout this entire investigation.
Wow.
He's shown then out of the truck, talking to a deputy and sharing information from his phone. And as more deputies arrive...
That reminds you, do you know what that reminds you of? Just a little tidbit. You know what that reminds you of? Does anybody remember back in 2021 when we started covering what case? Summer Wells. Summer Wells case. That's exactly what Don Wells did. Remember? Mom was on the phone. Cops were at the house, and all of a sudden he comes ripping up and parking down at the bottom of the canal, at the bottom of the thing, ripping in, looking for his daughter. What's going on? Summer, right? Ricky Steins knows some things. I bet he does. He was prosecuting attorney in Warren County, Kentucky, Bowling Green. Yeah, we need to go. I've been wanting to go and check out that story. I don't know why I haven't. So let's go ahead and get started in on this here.
Arrive and the day turns into dark. The search quickly expands beyond the home. The video shows police walking through nearby wooded areas and down dirt roads. Police was still doing this when we arrived on the scene that night at 11 o'clock. At that point, the staging area at Bethel Baptist was set up and crews were meeting there, walking again. Again, this video that you just saw, it captures what investigators believed at the time was a search for a missing child. We now know that investigation would take a very different turn in the days that followed.
And it looks like
So we now know the parents are responsible for this child. This is the parents. It is presumed that mom is the one that took the child's life, and dad helped her cover it up. So that's kind of the leading theory right now going on. We've heard that the mom confessed. So I know people are wanting to look at the dad, like, because he's got the mean mug. But from my understanding, it was mom that took the baby's life. It was dad that helped her cover it up. They both knew of the abuse. They both, from my understanding, were abusive toward this child. So it was literally a toss of a coin with whoever would have actually done her in. But from my understanding, it was the mom. It's been confirmed it was the mom, the pregnant mom, nonetheless, that ultimately murdered her baby. You know, I mean, filicide. It's a classic case of filicide, and we've got the father that helped successfully hide her remains. So I'm not going to go into this too much more until there is some updated information. This is the same information we have. I just wanted to give you guys an update. There's a second gag order in the case. Now, we did cover and talk about Lynette Hooker. If you guys don't know who Lynette Hooker is is a 55-year-old mom from Ohio, sold everything, a bucket list item, set sail on her yacht with her husband of 25 years to travel the world on boat and live abroad on boat. So they had no home. The boat was their home. The dinghy was their car. They sold everything to embark on this journey. And, you know, within 6 months after being on the water and in such tight quarters, Lynette came home, and that was the first time after they had set sail that it was noticeable that there was some major problems in their relationship. Well, since then, we've learned that the Coast Guard has confirmed that Lynette truly did lose her life. She did lose her life on that very boat that was her bucket list item to travel the world on, the soulmate, her yacht. It sounds like the only person that had motive, means, and opportunity to kill her or murder her is her husband, Brian Hooker, 59-year-old, retired, from what I understand, a problem guy. You know, they've been married forever, but everybody says that Lynette was very sweet and that Brian was an a-hole. So that's kind of the thing. And he treated her pretty poorly, and she didn't want to move on with her life because she was 50 years old. Man, what a mess. Think about it. She was able to retire young, too. She was able to retire very, very young. She amassed a small fortune with AT&T, and Brian's disconnecting his. He seems like Brian was the loser, drug addict, drunk, you know, at work, and she was the person that was responsible and did everything she was supposed to do. Well, there was a point where I said that, you know, her daughter went on the boat and looked at the stuff on the boat, and one of the, sorry, my lips are getting off because I'm doing things behind the scene, but one of the things that I saw was a duffel bag with rope and, weight. So that's what we're going to look at next. We're going to look at this, this video of the boat when Carly got on it. This is super huge.
Out onto the water and got them on board. So Carly and Steve were able to get on board their mom's boat and actually look around.
So this is going to be interesting. I thought Lynette Hooker was from, did I say Ohio? I meant Michigan. Yes, you're right. Sorry. I didn't even realize I said, did I say Ohio? If I said Ohio, I'm sorry. A mom from Michigan. Yes, a Michigan mom. I'm sorry if I said Ohio. I misspeak. It sounded like it came from, I said Michigan because I've been saying Michigan all this time, but we are talking about, so I crossed it because we just got off the Siders case from Ohio. So I apologize about that. Yes. Thank you, Open Mind. It is a mom from Michigan. Michigan mom. 55-year-old Michigan mom. Sorry about that.
And get some mementos, things that are important to Carly of her mother, things from her mother. And I just wanted you to see, they shared this with me, so I'm not breaching anyone's confidence or privacy. They shared the images and the videos of them getting onto the boat, going down below and looking for things. Take a look.
I know, baby, I know. All right.
Right there. All right, do you guys see that? The weights. So on one side, I want you guys to see it. Let me see if I can stop it right at the right spot.
I know, baby. I know.
Right there. See them? There they are. Now they're going to keep going over. This is how they came on the boat, folks. Okay? I want you guys to understand this is how they came on to this boat. Now we're going to move it over. Watch.
I know.
Okay. What does that tell you? You've got a duffel bag there. They're walking onto this boat to find out what happened. And the first thing that they come out, now mind you, this boat is not kept unkept. But it looks pretty much of disarray, does it not? And so on one side of this, that where you go under, you got weights on one side and a duffel bag with all of these ropes pulled out. Now, I don't know how your mind works, but my mind is working like, okay, we have a missing person, and when we go on our boat, the first thing you see on the top is a duffel bag that looks like somebody ruffled through it to find some rope, and on the other side you see weights. What is that telling you? What is ropes plus weights equaled in your mind? You guys see where I'm going with this? Pretty interesting stuff. Pretty scary stuff. But very interesting. Very interesting. So let's keep going. Let's see how well we are here.
So look, they spent as much time as they could.
So I don't think I need to really go over this whole entire video with you guys. I just don't. Because I just don't. I think that the point I'm trying to make, sinking someone, yeah. Not only that, but this comes back to why I tell people to start searching for those. Look behind her. She's at a dock. Do you see all of those yachts right there? Well, if you're flying a fixed wing plane over those yachts, you're not able to see what's under those yachts. You're not able to see what is attached under those docks. But I can tell you, in order to create a dock, you have a long pole. And it's even longer because you got to go under the ground. You got to sink it into the floor of the ocean, just like you do for your fencing post, right? In order for something to be secure, you've got to put a pole in the ground and make sure it's secure, and then you can build the stepping stone above the water. Not that kinky, Scott. Not that kinky. So we have a bag of rope that was of disarray next to the other side of weights. We got a problem here, folks. We've got a serious, significant problem here. It sounds like somebody was tied up and weighed down. So now we've got crystal clear water. If somebody was tied up and weighed down in the middle of the ocean, we would be able to find them. So now I've got to look at possibilities and ways of hiding somebody in plain sight. And then we hear, how were they searching for this woman? They were searching with planes, helicopters, and drones. What did we not hear? We didn't hear that they were searching for her in scuba equipment. So she hasn't been found. No scuba equipment. So I'm looking at docks and I'm looking under yachts, because those would be the best places to hide Lynette for the immediate time being. These yachts behind her are stored there. The yacht owner is not using this boat. The yacht owner may not use this boat for a year. They love their boat. They have their boat when they want it. They pay for somebody to maintain it and keep it up and keep it, maintained. These people are rich, okay? They have people that maintain their boats, go on their boats, clean their boats, just like a housekeeper. I still think she's weighed down in the mangroves. Very well might be, Shiny. Very well might be. But we definitely have a clue. We have a duffel bag with ropes on one side and weights on the other, and a missing woman that died on that boat. That's the facts that we're learning. Okay? So now coming back around to Nancy Guthrie, that's all we have for Miss Lynette Hooker. Now we're going to be going into this particular matter, Nancy Guthrie, and this is just really the only update that I really have on Nancy Guthrie's case. But I do want to touch them because, again, Nancy Guthrie's missing. If you guys don't know about Nancy Guthrie, I'm going to say this right. I'm not going to say she's from a different state. We're going to say she's from Arizona, not Ohio, okay? So Miss Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old grandmother that disappeared, ripped out of her bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman. We believe that this photo right here is the true identity of the masked gunman, and this is him in different arrays. A well-known forensic artist that retired, but her sole job when she was employed was taking people like masked images and producing what she believes would be a good replica of what's under that image. She did this successfully for law enforcement for many years, highly recognized and highly sought out in these types of crimes. She decided, even though she was retired, to go ahead and try to sketch the guy under the mask, and this is the sketch we got. Now people are going around and adding some different features, some different facial features and modifications to the person's features to help maybe, get somebody, if they recognize them, to call in. So regarding reminding everyone, this is the sketch done by Lois Gibson. If you guys would like to look her up, Lois Gibson, actually we'll look her up right now. Lois Gibson, you guys can, it looks like my lips must not be syncing because it's taking me forever to do this. Sorry guys, sometimes we have good, but we knew. There she is, right there. Lois Gibson. So well known, let's just give you guys an idea of who she is. She's a forensic sketch artist. She's well known. Let's read her Wikipedia. Okay. According to Wikipedia, she was born in 1950s. She's an American forensic artist who holds a 2017 Guinness World Record for the most identifications by a forensic artist. Wow. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment. So this is the lady highly recognized, definitely knows her stuff. She's the one that did this forensic sketch of the assailant. Okay, so I just want you to understand who made the original sketch. It was her. She's retired now. I just want to remind you. She doesn't work for anybody. That's why she went ahead and did it. So Lois Gibson is recorded in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's most successful forensic artist. Equal parts skilled artist and accomplished police veteran, she is a power force in the world of crime fighting. Since joining the Houston Police Department back in 1989, her sketches have led to over 1,300 criminal identifications as early as 2024. February 13, 2026, I sent her a request to alter with longer hair, no hair, etc. She responded with, I could do that myself, just don't alter her facial features. So here are the sketches done by Lois, as well as Texas law enforcement sketch artist, a well-known law enforcement Texas sketch artist, added different versions of hair, beard, etc. So I wanted to show these to you and make sure they're lined up here on, let me pull myself, I'm going to do the right side. There we go. So there you guys have it. That's what he looks like. You got somebody with more bald hair and facial features. Maybe something a little scraggly, more homely looking. Have a good day, Yalitha. TGIF. So I just want you guys to see, it's very important because everybody's searching for Miss Nancy Guthrie, but we also need to equally be searching for the assailant. And this is the best lead we have on the identity of the assailant. This is not some person like, you know, Monk's Intrigue. No offense. Love Monk's Intrigue. Don't want a dog. I want to be very, very clear. I'm not dogging Monk's Intrigue at all. But he's not a forensic artist, and he even said that. He gave his hand on what he thought was behind there. But again, this is a lady that her sketches have led to successful arrests and successful ending to cases. This woman has a proven track record. And the images from her and the images from Monk's Intrigue are different. I'm going to trust Lois's sketch. Why? Because she's the one that has the proven record from 1989 and 1,300 cases that she's helped solve through her images. So I'm going to trust somebody that has the resume and the stuff we're looking for. So this here is what I truly believe we're going to find out this man looks most likely. Okay. And again, a bunch of variations. The one next to him, you could tell, same person, just different. She never changed the features, never changed the eyes, nose, or mouth, just changed the different style of the beard and the hair. So if you know who this person is, seen this person anywhere around, I believe this person is local, at least fairly local, works in the area, not too far from the area, maybe the county over, maybe the city over, maybe not directly in the Catalina foothills, but somewhere else in the Tucson area or the corporate area. Something brings this man in and through this community. We do have some very, ooh, what the hell happened here? It looks like I went down. There we go. Sorry about that. My live stream went down. Hold on here. I mean, it didn't go down. Obviously, we're here, but my stuff behind the scenes went down. So that's never good. Let me pause this all. Give me just a second. I had to refresh something. My Google went down. Ooh, I wonder if all my Google went down. I hope not all my Google went down, because that means my show, I'm gonna have to refresh every single sheet, every single tab. I'm gonna have to refresh. Okay, well, it doesn't matter at this point. Okay, let me get you guys hooked back up here real quick. There we go. Pull back the one with the crazy beard. Okay, give me just a second. Let me pull back the one with the crazy beard. With the hair, because we got this one with the bald, this one with a little bit of hair, and this one with a lot more hair. So here, which one do you want? You want 1, 2, or 3? Here's 2. Here's 1. One of the 2 men that got busted for K. Send me that. Send me that. I'm not sure which one you're wanting. If it's this one has the crazy beard and the crazy hair. One of the 2 men that got busted for K, the Indian women and girls. I didn't hear about that one, Veronica. I don't know my brain is blank. I'm not sure why my brain is blank, but that's so. Anyways, guys, this is the potential perpetrator under the mask, and this is from a well-known, again, a Guinness Book World Record holder, Lois Gibson, and she's the one that did this. Yes, okay. The left eye goes a little outward. I've always looked at their eyes to see this feature. Look at the drawing of it. Look like it. I don't know. We'll have to check that. All right, I'm going to save this in Nancy's so I can get back to it. Okay. And this is Lois Gibson. Again, very, very well known. Gibson decided to become a forensic artist after being assaulted and nearly killed when she was living in Los Angeles. She has taught at Northwestern University's Center for Public Safety since 1998. Gibson has worked as a forensic artist for Houston Police Department since 1989, and as of 2012, it was reported that her work helped solve 1,266 crimes. Gibson has created fine art oil portraits for public buildings of Houston Mayor Bob Lanier and San Antonio Mayor Jose Miguel de Angel. I can't pronounce that. You guys are probably laughing at me. And Juan Seguin. Gibson is the author of true crime book Faces of Evil with a writer Deanie Francis Mills, and wrote a textbook titled Forensic Art Essentials. Gibson's work supported Glenn McDuffie's 2007 claim of being the man kissing the woman in the Alfred Einstein photo, The Days in Times Square. I think that was the iconic photo. Gibson's forensic analysis compared photographs from current-day photographers of McDuffie, analyzed Key's facial features, and measured the ears, facial bones, hairlines, wrists, knuckles, and hand in comparison to enlargement. So she tries to make sure she's very accurate. In 2014, Gibson's work supported the claims of New Mexico educator Ray John D. Aragon that Billy the Kid was the subject of the photo he inherited. 2007, Gibson's work supported claims Jesse James' descendant Sandra Mills that a tintype photograph she owned showed James sitting on next to Robert Ford. Interesting. There's a lot of people that have interesting lives and interesting jobs. All right, as we start winding down and getting more into the meat and potatoes, we have already covered Javeayah Harris. We've covered the Idaho, the 16 out of Idaho, and, you know, the people here. Mom and Dad look normal. Elizabeth looked normal. What in the world happened here? You know, I really, truly don't know. But I can tell you everybody seems to have an appearance change, in my opinion, other than Junior. Junior appears to be the same person he was in all aspects, but everybody else around him seems to have changed drastically. That tells me he is most likely the catalyst to all of this. Does he look like anybody that would be hired by NBC? Listen, I don't know who they would hire. I'm just saying, this whole thing with NBC is not sitting right with me. You know, open mind, it just isn't sitting right with me. No matter how I look at it, none of it is sitting right with me. I'm not trying to be rude or, you know, point fingers at people, but it just doesn't feel right. And, you know, in my opinion, the sketch artist resembles more of Carlos than it does Luke. Just to put a little tidbit of information out there, it truly does. I mean, if you compared Carlos's photo to this forensic sketch photo, they're more in like than Luke. I wish we could see the collage of her before and after. Oh, that I'll start, you know what? I'll start looking. Maybe that's a challenge we can do. That would be nice. Yeah, I'd like to see a collage of the stuff she did. You're right. That would be good. Groovy Gal, hello. Good morning. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Welcome. Welcome. All right, guys, as you know, we've also been covering briefly. We haven't done deep dives into many of these cases. It's very time consuming to do those deep dives in these cases. But we are running commentary on them and giving you guys up-to-date information. If you guys have known about this case or know anything about Nolan Wells' case, you guys will know that he was a rising star in football. He had a loving mom and father. And on the July 4th weekend, he went off with his friends, and he never came back. Now, the details from his friends is that he wanted to stay behind with the girl, but everything other than that just seems really fishy. And apparently, people were in his phone deleting certain things in his phone, and they were able to tell that things were being deleted in his phone. There was also this party that allegedly happened after they left the island. So there's a lot of stuff that I don't know if that's if people have their facts wrong or whatever, or just, assuming stuff that they shouldn't be assuming. But at the end of the day, something fishy is going on, okay? That nobody is going to leave a kid behind without his phone, and no kid is going to be left behind without their phone. A child that's on their phone all the time does not forget their phone, okay? I'm sorry, they just don't. So this whole situation where the story is he stayed behind for a girl and the girl's like, no, he didn't stay behind for me. I left with all these people. It's just, the story's not making sense. Something did happen. I believe something did happen. I think something bad happened, and we're hearing that there was an altercation. How bad was that altercation? We don't really have his manner of death. He has been found. I don't know. We need to probably figure all of that out. But either way, the family is fighting back against the, he just stayed behind for a girl thing. They're saying, no, this is not what we're dealing with here. His friends are lying, I think, is what the nuts and bolts of this is. His friends are lying, and parents, you guys better find out, this is where parental guidance is very, very important here, because one of your children might truly be capable of homicide. One of your children may have killed somebody. I would think that any parent that is involved in this case would want to get to the bottom of it before they're hit with some major oh shit problems. Okay? But I think every parent needs to be figuring out what's going on. And if your kid had nothing to do with it, you need to be taking that child to the police department, because this could have been your kid. And we treat cases as if it's our kid. So if you wouldn't want a parent protecting their kid if they did wrong, then don't protect yours. That's how this thing works.
Mississippi starts now.
New details in the investigation into the death of Nolan Wells following a meeting today with the district attorney, the Wells parents, and their legal team. Tyler Bell joins us now with what we've learned from today's news conference. Tyler.
Well, at 9 o'clock this morning, the Wells family and legal team met with the district attorney. Although we are still waiting for answers to major questions, Attorney Ben Crump and team were able to confirm several details about where the investigation goes from here.
The investigation into the death of Nolan Wells continues, with Attorney Ben Crump confirming that the response line is still ringing.
We're getting about 50 calls a day to 100 calls a day from people who were there on Horn Island, people who are familiar with individuals that were there on Horn Island.
After the family met with District Attorney Angel Myers,
if there is anybody that is watching my channel about this case, about Nolan Wells' case, and you guys were on Horn Island, please reach out to me, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me right away, 724-252-8070. Again, 724-252-8070. That is you guys can text me, you guys can call me there. I don't answer the phone. I monitor my stuff, so you will have to leave a message and you will have to leave a text message, but I will return your phone call, and that is direct to me, not to an assistant, not to any place else, to me. Money. Yep, probably common sense. It probably does have. If you guys are wondering what she's talking about, we have right now a super chat, or a goal. We have not met our goal. We've only had 3 people participate, but the question is, why do people choose murder over divorce? Answer our question of the day while helping support the Bullhorn Buddy channel. And common sense answer was money. Money is the root of all evils. I absolutely do believe it. And we've been around long enough to know that money or matters of the heart are 90% of the cases that are debuted on any of our channels here. So his mom found his phone through the light. I saw that. And then the kids wanted to act stupid. These kids are not smart. Parents, before you guys have some major legal expenses in fighting for your child's life in a courtroom, I suggest you better get some things going and get some attorneys hired and start cooperating with this investigation, because I got to be honest with you, I'm eyeballing going to Alabama. I've got a direct shot to Alabama. We've got the case of in Marion County of Sarah Ebersol that I can go over and visit. We've got the case up there in the Panhandle with the lady on the run, Isabel Johnson, that we believe might have went into Alabama. She's got ties to Alabama, and we've got this case here in Alabama. So I've literally got a weeks long, 3-case tour that I could literally start on Monday morning. And I actually am considering making the trip. I've got to sit down and take the time and figure out where the funds are going to come from. But I think I am making the trip because we got 3 major cases going on that I can be boots on the ground for, that are active and ongoing. Sarah Ebersol, active and ongoing. Her sister can absolutely use the diplomacy that we have here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We've got the lady on the run, and Jason Colthart's case. I mean, that's right there on the Alabama Panhandle border. And then we've got the case in Alabama that's rising up, and this is Nolan Wells. And I'm thinking that maybe Monday we need to start heading out and start making this possible, being boots on the ground. 3 cases, 3 independent, nationally recognized cases. This seems like this is going to be a great path forward for our audience and good boots on the ground. It just costs a lot of money to be boots on the ground. So if you guys want the boots on the ground, please, be here and support the work that we're doing here. And sometimes it's just videos. I can't go live in all of these places. Some places I don't have the ability to go live because their internet and services suck. I can only put together 5 and 10 minute videos and upload those things to let you know what's going on, and then when I get to a good spot where I can go live, going live and telling you what's going on. So it's kind of one of those things, I don't have the ability to pay $165 a month for Starlink. At some point we might get there with we've grown leaps and bounds since we started this channel, and we do a lot more than we've ever been able to do on this channel as far as the production of this channel, the equipment that goes into the production of this channel. We did lose our hotspot out there on the road, which was a game changer for us. We don't have that any longer. So we've got to try to find another possibility to another avenue to work. And I think I might have another avenue that might work out, but this is why it's so important. If you guys can become monthly partners, it's the best way to become monthly partners. But I do think that we will go out here and cover this case. I think this case, I'd like to see what this Horn Island looks like and maybe talk to some people out there if I can. So, I don't know. That's kind of just something that I'm eyeballing here.
McElrath, we now know that the case will be taken to a grand jury once the investigation finishes. A key part of the investigation, Nolan's cell phone.
We also agreed that we will have a mutual inspection of the cell phone with our experts and their experts.
It's an item the Wells team has pointed to as a major point of contention. How did Nolan end up separated from his phone? Could there be messages potentially missing from his Snapchat? Attorney Eric Hertz is leading the independent investigation that includes help from former law enforcers and federal agents.
Some of the people that I spoke to are not talking with law enforcement here. We're going to be trying to get them to cooperate with each other because we want to make sure the narrative, which has been put out that is false.
Well, thank you for the sunshine.
Many are holding out hope that Nolan's autopsies, both the states and the families, will be able to provide answers and clear up misinformation.
No timeline is currently set for Nolan's official autopsy.
They need to get us some answers. The family needs some answers. Nolan's phone to undergo mutual inspection after deleted content concerns, attorney reveals, they believe. And the reason how this all came up, from my understanding, is because Life 360 said that he went to multiple places. It tracked his phone wherever it was. That's how they found the phone, is Life 360. But on his Snapchat, where it shows where he went, it stopped at a certain place, and they're like, wait a minute, he would never have just stopped using his phone. He would have used it here, 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 and here, and yet it didn't track with Snapchat. So why didn't he use the phone? Look up the brother's name I sent you and see what you think. It's above the chat. It's above in chat. Is there a way I can... hold on a second. I guess I can't do that. Okay, let me see. Helps. Please hit the thumbs up. There are two brothers. One looks like the one pick. There are two brothers. Patrick Sanchez, 68, and yeah, but they're too old. Oh, you're telling me they're missing? Turquoise alert. I don't know what a turquoise alert is. Let me write their names down. I'm not going to look them up just yet, but I will. Patrick and Manuel L. Sanchez. What is a turquoise alert? Like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, how many freaking alerts do we need in this country? These, like, it's like everybody's got to change something. We had an Amber Alert. It was one singular alert. We knew that whenever that alert went off, we needed to pay attention to it. Whatever it did, even if it was 3 or 4 different ones a day, we knew we needed to stop and look at it. And now we've got freaking 20 million, like, it's getting ridiculous. You know what? This is what I hate about bureaucracy. People are stupid in our government. They're just stupid. They're absolutely ignorant. And these are the people telling us what to do. It's stupid. It's just stupid. Anyways, I don't know what turquoise means. Native American missing. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, at the end of the day, it's for missing. That's stupid. Turquoise? Why do we need so many damn alerts? If somebody's missing, just make it a missing person alert. One alert. Whatever they need to do behind the scenes, we don't need to have it in front of the scenes, okay? I shouldn't have to have a booklet to tell me what these alerts mean, okay? Now we literally need to send out freaking cards, laminated cards, so people know what an amber alert means, what a white alert means, what a red alert means, what a silver alert means, what a purple alert means, what a turquoise alert means, what a blue alert means, what a yellow alert means, what an orange alert means, what is it? Gold alert, bronze alert, what other colors are we going to use? Leave it to our government. I'm sure they're going to find ways to make more alerts for colors. I don't understand it. It's stupid. If somebody's missing, we need one alert. What does it matter if they're indigenous or white, black, or green with pink polka dots? Why are they not afforded the same alert as everybody else? It's just stupid. I'm sorry. I just feel it's just stupid. Stupid. Did alcohol or rip currents play a role in Nolan Wells' mysterious death? What the sheriff and locals are saying. So authorities are investigating the death of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Obviously, his body has been found. As investigators continue to work to determine what happened to Nolan Wells after the 18-year-old disappeared during the 4th of July trip to Mississippi Horn Island in Jackson County, Sheriff John Ledbetter is urging the public to be patient and to avoid jumping to conclusions. Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions other than to say that the people on that boat were lying. Okay, that why they were lying, I don't know why they were lying. But people just don't leave a man behind unless something truly did happen. Just like that girl in Kentucky. Her friends left her behind. Well, it's so funny that everybody wants to stay behind, but as soon as they leave them behind, they die. It just doesn't seem to add up. So something happened before they left or prompted them to leave the person behind. 2 cases within 2 weeks apart. And they're 2 teenage girls. One's a boy, one's a girl. One's from Kentucky, one's from Mississippi. And their friends leave them and they just wind up dead. Funny how that happens, right? Funny how that happens. Speaking to ABC News, Aaron Katersky, in an interview that aired Good Morning America on Tuesday, July 14th, Ledbetter said his office is continuing to gather evidence as investigators await autopsy and toxicology results. I think it's important we don't put ourselves into a timetable that we don't rush. I think it's important we don't put ourselves on a timetable that we don't rush ourselves, Ledbetter said. But I do think it's important to be diligent in gathering all the facts. That's what the family deserves. Authorities have previously said they believe Wells may have drowned after disappearing during the July 4th boat trip with friends to Horn Island, at Barrier Island off Mississippi Gulf Coast. Rip currents have been dangerous in the area before, and teenage girl was taken to the hospital from Dauphin Island, not far from Horn Island, in 2022 after being stuck in the water. It's like an invisible force. You can't see it, the local says. So they're saying maybe the kids were all partying and stuff and maybe not paying attention. But listen, this is going to sound, I don't know any easy way to make this sound, and I could be totally wrong. But the pictures I saw of this trip, it seemed like he was around a whole bunch of white people. Okay, and why does this matter? It's not a racist thing. I'm not trying to make this a racist thing at all. It's just the fact that being the only black person on that boat, if true, it seems like that would be an obvious person missing, right? it seems like when you got back on board that you would be like, oh, where's Nolan, right? So I'm not trying to bring race or racism into this at all, and I don't think it's a racist type of situation. Like, I don't think they targeted him because he's a black guy or anything like that. I do know that people do target, and I do believe there is racism in this country, but I don't think it's as widespread as many would like it to believe. So I'm not thinking that the friends did anything intentional to him or anything like that. I just want to point that out. I just think that based on the photo I saw in the back of the boat, it seemed like a whole bunch of white people and then Nolan, and those were all his friends. That's it. That's the area that he was in, and he had friends. So what? But I just believe because he was the only black person that he would be the obvious person. If didn't show back up on the boat, it'd be like, where's Nolan? Okay, like, you might not realize that John's not on the boat, but Nolan. That just doesn't make sense to me, okay? So I'm really challenging the statements from these boys. Did something happen? Is it a possibility? And I want to throw this out there that nothing nefarious happened, that we do take rip currents into account. What if they were so drunk they all pile back on the boat and they start heading in and not realizing Nolan got sucked out to sea? Is that possible? Yes, but it comes back to him most likely being the only black person on board, and it seems like he would be very obviously noticed as being not on board. Okay? Maybe not all the other people might have been noticed because they might have blended in with the other people. But Nolan, in the group that he was in, would have stood out. And that's the reality of it. Just like if somebody was on their boat and you had a bunch of people and then you had this purple-haired person or this pink-haired person, the pink-haired person not being on the boat would be the most obvious to be noticed not being on the boat. When kids don't want to come forward and state their involvement, they should all be charged with the party. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think that's too harsh, because this family's suffering and these kids know. And I guarantee the rich parents are probably trying to find ways to protect them instead of actually looking at this case like, oh my gosh, that could have been my child. What would I want the other parents to do if it was my child? And do that. But they don't. And I guarantee, no, I shouldn't guarantee this, but 90% of the time, it's the rich boy. It's the rich boy that caused all this problem. Watch. I bet you we're going to find out whatever happened, it's probably somebody's son that has a lot of money. Allegedly and in my opinion. So let's get into the timeline of this young man and what we know. In the days since the puzzling death of 18-year-old, investigators have undertaken a painstaking effort to reconstruct the events that unfolded on Horn Island, a remote barrier island about 10 miles off the Mississippi coast. The investigation has unfolded rapidly since Nolan Wells' disappearance on 4th of July from the island he visited with high school friends. While those friends returned to the mainland, Wells' body was found days later in the water. Now the search for answers extends well beyond the remote island. As public interest escalates, investigators are working to piece together Wells' final hours with his family, while his family continues to press for transparency and answers. The young man's death has stoked speculation and distrust, in part due to Mississippi's fraught racial history, which we all know they do have it, and the fact that Wells appeared to be the only person of color in an image with friends on the trip. Now, guys, I want to let you know that just because he lives in an area and hangs out with only white people doesn't make this a racial issue. And I'm sick and tired of people thinking because white people and black people cohabitate, speak with one another, and all these other things, that there's some racial tendency here. These were his friends, okay? Now, what do I believe? I believe if he's dead and one of his friends were responsible or something, it has something to do with alcohol, maybe somebody having a pissing contest, and, boys being boys and playing around and fighting with each other and stuff like that. We've all seen that, okay? I don't think they targeted him because of the color of his skin. I think they were friends with him and, oh, shit happened. Because, things like that, oh shit, happen. Okay? When you have a bunch of young teens out there on boats with alcohol and other substances, you have oh shit factors that happen out there. So I'm not on board with this whole, oh my gosh, he's around a whole bunch of white people argument. I'm sorry. I don't believe that kids are inherently evil. Now, they do stupid shit. They get themselves in trouble and they try to cover up, the trouble that they got into instead of just standing on it and saying, because this may very well be an accident where nobody is able to be charged on this. This may seriously be just a terrible accident where somebody was rip current and everybody was so out of their mind they didn't know what the hell to do. And so they leave and decide to lie about it. Well, telling the truth wouldn't have made them look like homicidal freaks. And so now they have to go through all of this testing to find out that, oh my gosh, they were all drunk and getting high, and something happened to their friend and they didn't know what to do. Or they were so out of their mind they didn't realize they left their friend behind, which I just don't believe. Again, being the only black guy on the boat. Okay, it seems like it would be a very obvious, you may not know who's on your boat, but you remember there's one person missing if they're a little different than everybody else. Where's Nolan? Is what's going to be said. Wells graduated in 2025 from Ocean Springs High School in the coastal Mississippi town of Ocean Springs, just east of Biloxi. Then he enrolled in Southwest Mississippi Community College, where he was a wide receiver for their football team, according to the Associated Press. On the evening of July 3rd, the teams made his family salmon for dinner before leaving to spend the night with his friends ahead of the holiday weekend. It was a hug, kiss, and he left, Christine, his mother, said. And like countless Americans across this country, Wells set out to mark the 4th of July holiday on the water. He joined his friends for a boating trip to Horn Island, a federally protected barrier island known for its untouched beaches, shifting shorelines, and quiet isolation. It wasn't uncommon for Wells to visit the island with friends, according to the family. So this is something he's done many times before with these same white friends. And guess what? He never came back harmed or deceased. Okay, so I want to settle any of this racial tension. Okay, I don't believe this is a racial case. Okay, so all this racial shit it's going to cloud the case. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. I don't want to hear about this. This is not how we get things done. We can all work together and get answers together without slinging mud and saying it's a white-black issue. Okay, this is just a human issue, because had Nolan been a white person and the results were the same, we wouldn't be talking about the black and white. Okay, so I don't want to hear the racial crap. I don't even want to hear it from his parents. I don't want to hear it, because clearly they even know that they went out with these same group of friends multiple times and have always come home safely. So obviously something happened this time. Wells was supposed to return to school after holiday weekend to start training for the upcoming football season. His father, Elmore Wansley, said in an interview with Good Morning America. In photos from the boat that day, the 18-year-old towers above his friends, his arm usually slung around their shoulders as he smiled for the camera. But by the time the group returned to the mainland that afternoon, a day that began as a holiday celebration took an unsettling turn. Obviously, we now know that he has died. Hope gives way to a widening search. As hours pass without answers, Wells' mother's turned to social media. That's probably why she went ahead and why this is so big, because people that pursue get noticed. I know my child, if he had a phone out all the time at home, he's definitely going to have his phone out wherever he's out and he's doing things with his friends. So that was just really hard to believe that there was nothing there. So they believe the phone was wiped, as we talked about. But Javon Williams, one of Wells' friends who had seen him on the island on July 4th, says that account doesn't square with the person he knew. I've never known Nolan to stay back while his friends leave. And that's the problem we all have right there, is something appears to have happened before they left, or the reason why they chose to leave. He's always been the guy where he rode with you. He's kind of go back with you that every single time. So that's the way we all were raised, right? Wells' family also said they can't fathom why he would separate from his group of friends. We always taught him, if you go with a group, stay with your group, the father said. And it sounds like that's what he did. We know something out there happened. We know that the friends had to have known something out there happened. They had his keys, his phone, and arguing with his family, turning over his phone, right? So as Christine, social media appeals gained traction online, several groups joined the search, including the United Cajun Navy, a nonprofit volunteer organization and rescue group based in Louisiana. The group's vice president told CNN he spoke to several people who were at Horn Island on July 1st and described the beach as being packed with boats and people, some of whom had been drinking alcohol. So we don't even know if his friends were responsible for whatever happened to him, if they were responsible for whatever happened to him. We have to say if, because of the rip currents. You know, there are other, we don't know how these people were. They could have all been shit-faced drunk and truly just didn't realize he wasn't even back on their boat. It really could have been just like that. And he could have left his phone on his boat because he was out there in the water and didn't want to ruin his phone. You know what I'm saying? And so he left the phone on the boat, and then he got ripped out by the rip current, and then they got all on the boat drunk as shit and decided to make it back to the mainland. I was like, wait a minute, where's Nolan? And they're like, oh, he wanted to stay behind with the girlfriend, and never realizing he was, you know, drug out to the ocean. I mean, we don't know. I don't try to go into these cases looking at the worst in humanity. You know, I do try to give it a level of understanding. Is there another answer or path forward for this situation? And while there certainly is, there are some things that are unanswered, like him being the only black guy on that boat. How could you not know he did not get back on that boat? And who told you he stayed behind for a girl? Which rider on that boat is the one that said that? Was there any altercation at that island? Did anybody get into a fight? When you have that many people, there are, in all fairness, I've been at parties where you've had thousands of kids and teens there and not one problem happened. Everybody having a great time and staying in their own clique. And there were literally no fights, no problems, and there was a lot of us there. And then I've been at those that where I've went there and it's like, oh, you know, shit is just breaking off everywhere to the point that you're ready to leave because you don't want anything happening to you. I've been at parties like that out on islands and secluded places and stuff like that with people. So, you know, what were we dealing with out here? Are we dealing with a rambunctious group out there on Horn Island? Or are we dealing with the peace, love, and kumbaya people that are just loud and obnoxious and all having fun with their own cliques and everybody minding their own business? But at the end of the day, no matter how we look at this case, something stinks to high heaven and we're all smelling it. We're all smelling it. Something ain't fitting here. You know, even no matter how we try to flip this in the most reasonable light to keep everybody in the good graces, it's something stinky here. And when something starts stinking here, then we're starting to look at, oh my gosh, what did you kids do? Who did what? And that's, I think, where we're at. That's why I'm telling family, parents, if your kids were out there on this boat with this boy, you need to be having a come to Jesus conversation, because the last thing you want to be is having your front door kicked in and your child ripped out of bed in the middle of the night with guns aimed at you, telling you to get on the floor. Because let me tell you, if they come in like that, which they will, if this is a homicide investigation or a homicide case where somebody murdered somebody, you bet your ass your front door will be kicked in when they make the link. So you might as well get right with your children and have a sit-down conversation, and a serious one at that, and find out what truly happened out there. And you better tell your children, you better not lie to me. Because when you tell your children, you better not lie to me, and you have that face, they know. They know. It's time to speak. You need to have that face, and they need to know it's time to speak. And whatever they tell you, you take them to law enforcement. You don't bring it to social media. You don't cover it up. If your child's responsible, you get them an attorney and you take them up to that frickin' that law enforcement body, and you have them booked, and you get the process started. You don't cover their ass. You don't hide. You don't become an accessory after the fact. You be a good parent and stand by your child. But being a good parent means holding your child accountable. That's the test of parenting. I truly believe that's the test of parenting. Are you a good parent or are you a bad parent? Many people think that being a good parent is helping you bury the body. That is being the worst parent in the world. You are enabling your child to do harm to others. So that means you're the monster right along with them. So my suggestion is if you're dealing with a child that has made a mistake, you be a good parent. You teach that child to keep their mouth shut. You get that child an attorney, and you start doing the process the right way. Will your child go to jail? Yeah. But your child deserves to go to jail. It's going to be a hard walk for you and that child, but you walk it with dignity. You walk it with being a good parent, because our kids have got to be held accountable. Every time we make our children, enable our children to do horrible things, they will continue to do horrible things. Why? Because they know you will get them out of it. So today, it might be this. Tomorrow, it might be worse. Tomorrow, it might be worse. I don't know, guys. I think you need to protect yourself. And I would be, and if your child's under the age of 18, I would be going to a finance guy. I'd be protecting your finances. But at the end of the day, if your child is over the age of 18, it's time to be a good parent. And that being a good parent is walking your child down to the law enforcement offices. Nolan Wells' friends spill on viral pool party photo as mom reveals heartache of planning son's funeral. Seems a little harsh, but there it is. Nighttime. So when did they go to this beach? If this was, unless this was the night before, on the 3rd, when was this taken? When was this taken? Damn, it's 90 here in Kentucky. Oh, I'm sure it's hot. Live and learn, I agree. Yeah. I don't see colors, I just see people. Exactly. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. I treat people how they treat me. You treat me like I don't care. You can be the blackest person or the whitest person. I don't care. You treat me like crap, I'm gonna treat you like crap. You step on my toes, I step right back. You clap at me, I clap right back. I don't care. Okay? I don't care who you are, I don't care what your religion is, I don't care. You treat me good, I treat you good. That's how the world works. You want to be my friend? I want to be your friend. You want to be my enemy? I can do it 10 times better. That's where I come from. That's where I come from. So this boy was here. So at what point did they go out to the island? Now my question is it possible that they got tatered up and went out in the boat to Horn Island while they were under the influence at night? If they went out there at night when they weren't supposed to be out there at night, that might be what contributed to this, without any fault or any homicide charges with anybody. They just did something really stupid and somebody lost their life and they didn't even know about it until it was too late. Like, I'm hoping those are the details we find out about this case. But there's just this pit in my stomach that makes me feel what we're going to find out is that there was an altercation between some people and something happened. That's what I feel like we're going to ultimately find out. So we are related, Betty. They left from the beach, ended up in the pool party. How did he get back to Horn Island? Unless, well, this is my other thing, is because if you guys remember, we heard from his mother that he made them dinner and then left to a friend's house. That was on July 3rd. This party here, even though it may not have been posted until July 4th, may have actually happened that night when he got to his friend's house. So we've got to remember that. Yet, you know, people are passing around that this is from the 4th. But he went and stayed over at his friend's house on the 3rd. He stayed the night before they went to Horn Island. Is this a party from the night from the 3rd into the 4th? That's the question you guys need to be asking yourself. Okay? Because if this is like at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and it says the 4th, well, this is from the 3rd night. They are just still out partying in here. They haven't even made it out to Horn Island yet. It's barely July 4th. You see what I'm saying? So we have to remember what his mom said. His mom said that he went over to his friend's house on July 3rd and stayed the night. And then they went out on the boat on July 4th the next day to party out at the island. So is this party here from the 3rd? I just want to throw that out there. I know people are saying this is from the 4th of the night. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree with that, because again, it brings that question of how did they get back out to Horn Island? So I have, like, my common sense is telling me that this pool party happened before Horn Island. I don't think they went out to Horn Island, came back, had a pool party, and then went out to Horn Island. Okay? Unless you guys are trying to say that he died here and somebody actually covered up his crime and drove him back to Horn Island. Now, that's a little more involved, and I don't know how any of that would have made sense. That doesn't make sense. Even trying to cover it up, these kids are not going to think, oh, let's drop him back off at Horn Island. I don't see that, even especially if you're shit-faced drunk, right? So we have to put we have to play the tape through. The best way, what I mean by playing the tape through is mapping it yourself. Like, how would you do this? I mean, sometimes I close my eyes and I methodically think about what my reaction would be. You have to really know yourself, and I think everybody does know themselves if they're honest with themselves. And that's what I like to do. I like to just close my eyes and just play the tape through. Like, okay, and I imagine different things happening along the way. And that's how I kind of work these things out in my head. And so this one, I would have to, for him to wind up back on Horn Island, let's just play devil's advocate and say they went to Horn Island. They were partying there all day. They all got on the boat. They came back to this house. They partied. Something happened. It doesn't look like anything's happening here. It looks like everybody's having a good time. Doesn't seem like any altercations. It seems like friends hanging out with friends. There's not very many of them. I mean, there's like 20 or less here that I see, maybe 30. But even if it's a little bit more than that, it seems like everybody's having a great time and getting along. So at what point would the altercation start? And what friends wouldn't, if your two friends are fighting, I mean, think about it. We've been at parties before. Would we allow our two friends to fight? Of course not. We would all get with them and say, what the hell are you doing? This is not the night. With all these people, we're not getting our phones out going woo, 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 and wanting our friends to fight. I mean, come on, let's play the tape through. These are all friends. Would this be, so we gotta look at something else. Now, is it possible somebody got drunk and we've all seen people, you never know, especially people young. We've got Paul Murdaugh, right? He talks about Tommy coming out, when he drinks. So he has a different personality when he's drunk. He's a mean SOB when he's drunk. Paul knew it, and everybody knew it, and they used to call his drunk guy Tommy. So is there a Tommy in this crowd? Maybe there is. Maybe there was somebody that did something. But I think we need to take a step back. This does stink to high heaven, but we also know that kids, teenage kids, if somebody dies, they're automatically going to try to lie and distance themselves from that. Okay, whether it was an accident, medically related, I would hope that kids know that when your friends are struggling, you call 911. You don't let them die, first and foremost. But it seems like these guys were his best friends. And I'm trying to play that into this stuff. And I know that my best friends in high school were ride or dies. They were ride or dies. Like, we were all ride or dies in high school. And I got to admit that kids this day are not like kids we were. you know. They're not taught the same way as we were. We were taught to have each other's back. We were taught to be in groups, we were taught, that's just how we were. But we were all like, if we were in a clique, if it was our clique, we were ride or dies, So I don't see anybody in the clique allowing something to happen to one of their friends, even if it's another friend, without saying something. Because somebody would love the perpetrator and the victim equally. So who do you pick to stick up for? And most people are scarred by seeing somebody lose their life, especially at this young of age, and especially girls. Girls are a lot more emotional at this age than guys are. So I just feel like if there was more nefarious things here, yeah, we have a family, and I'm not saying that there's nothing nefarious here. I can just understand why this is taking so long to get to a finish line to find out, was there a crime committed? Or was this a terrible accident, And what if, let's just play this tape through, for example. What if they were all drunk or all on substances? And, it contributed to the death of this man. And, for example, if they were under the influence of alcohol or substances and it resulted in one of their friends' lives, would they all be responsible for manslaughter because they were all in the commission of a crime when somebody died? I mean, it wasn't a violent crime. It was drinking and, partying, but could they all be held accountable legally for the death of their friend because they were doing stuff that they weren't lawfully allowed to do and it resulted in somebody's death? I think somebody could be held accountable. Absolutely. Too much jealousy in youth today. There is that. They're not the same. We're not the same. We're not the same. I can tell you that. I wish we had our teachers back. I mean, I remember our teachers, they were so strict. Oh, good God. Our teachers were so strict. These teachers nowadays, I don't even know what the hell they are. There are, like here in Manatee County, we have some great teachers, and then we got some real awful people teaching our kids. So, it's, I don't know. I really truly believe it's the softening of our kids. Everybody wins a trophy. That's why we got all this crap. Listen, guys, I know everybody wants their children to feel special and get a trophy, but listen, I'm sorry. Just because you wish and want doesn't make it so. The whole purpose of sports and stuff is not to make a child feel inclusive. It's to find out what they're good at. You bring children to all these different things: piano, typing, singing, baton twirling, running, basketball, baseball, football, color guard, dance. You do all these different things to find out where your child places, okay? Just because you want your child to be a football star doesn't mean your child's going to be a football star. And it's time to start going back to the old days where your child wins awards based on their ability to win awards. But my child feels so bad when he doesn't get a trophy. Then work with him better. If it's not his cup of tea, find something that is. Quit force-feeding football down your child's throat because you want your child to be in football. Okay? Maybe they're not cut out to be a football star. Maybe they need to be in dance. My son in dance? Yeah, maybe he's fitted to be a movie star instead of a football star. Just saying. So the sooner we start getting back to children being children and learning that you work hard, you get rewarded. You don't get to pick your nose on the bench seat and get a trophy. I'm sorry, there's something seriously wrong with that. But I want little Johnny to feel like he's included. Well then good, get out there with him and throw a football. If he doesn't want to catch the football, guess what? Little Johnny doesn't want to play football. Quit forcing it down his damn throat. Just saying. So Nolan Wells is gone. He's dead. He died, and we don't know how, why, or who may be responsible. But he's gone, and his family wants answers. And his family is doing everything they can to inspire answers. And I commend them for that, because that's one of the things that we always say is when something, you make people listen. You make people listen. If you are standing there, we will help you make people listen, right? This mama, she was a mama bear. She wasn't taking no for an answer. She got up, she did her thing. She went out there. She got a lot of attention to her son's case. God bless mommy and daddy in this case. They want answers, and we want them to have answers. I would never, ever, ever want a family to ever bury their child and never know why. That's got to be cruel. That's cruel and unusual punishment right there. To have to bury your child and never know why. That is exactly what the Idaho 4's families had to do. They had to bury their children and never know why. And even though they have the person behind bars that murdered their children, they still have never been answered or received an answer of why. Why were they targeted? Why were they victims of Bryan Kohberger? That is something they'll never have closure on for the rest of their life. Bryan will take that to his grave, the why. So now we move over to Miss Brooke Hanlon. She is a neurosurgeon. I can't remember what it is. Neurotherapist. I can't remember. She's some kind of doctor. I don't know why I forget all the details. Probably because we ran over so many cases about her, but let's just get up to date. Let's get up to date. There it is. Psychotherapist. I knew it was one of those. So psychotherapist. So at the end of the day, she's a psychotherapist that was murdered inside of her home. Many people believe that her husband, her doting husband, is the one that was responsible for her death. Although he has not been arrested, he has not been named a suspect. This is one of those cases where you don't know, but you kind of know. And now the husband is also getting a new attorney. It's just, it does paint a picture. To me, it feels like they are focusing on the husband. So just to give you guys a little update on this lady, here is the information that you guys need to know about Brooke Hanlon. She's 35-year-old psychotherapist, a new mother. Oh, that's so sad. New mother. Was found stabbed to death inside of her home in Chester Township, New Jersey. Now, we have had a lot of these cases where the girlfriend, including, what was her name? I want to say Elena Moore, but it's not. It's the one in Pennsylvania. Anyway, her boyfriend came in. She was stabbed. He's like, oh my gosh, she's unconscious. And then, oh, she has a knife protruding out of her chest, right? It's something similar to that, where he's saying that his wife's unconscious, and then it's like, oh my gosh, she's got this huge laceration at her neck while he's on the phone with 911, right? Yet we're hearing that the entire scene was bloody. How could he not see all the blood? And he's trying to say she's unconscious at first, and then, oh my gosh, there's a gash on her neck. Whatever. But the 911 came in around 4:30. Who goes into the houses and starts stabbing people? I don't even know if anything is missing from the house. But around 4:30 on June 6th, emergency service received a 911 call logged as a cardiac or respiratory attack. Okay? You guys get this? So the husband walks in. Now, mind you, his wife was stabbed multiple times. So you're talking about cast off, sprayed blood. You can't stab somebody with their heart pumping and not have a massive amount of blood in and around that person's body or on that person's body. You're not going to have stabbing marks without having blood. Okay? You find me a person that can stab another human being and not have any blood anywhere. Yet he calls this in as a respiratory or cardiac type of event. And then it's like, oh, she has a gash on her neck. There's no way that entire scene wasn't riddled with blood all over it. So that's your first telltale sign that this guy is a liar. How was he planning on explaining all that blood he didn't see when he called 911 of the cardiac arrest for respiratory issue? First responders arrived at the couple's home in Pottersville Road within 7 minutes and discovered Hanlon upstairs with severe laceration to her chest. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And there is an audio. We did listen to the audio of the husband, and it was like, oh, she's unconscious, and then it's like, oh my gosh, she's got a slash on her neck. Such bullshit. Such bullshit. And then we find out there's blood everywhere. There's blood everywhere. So that kind of kills this whole, oh, she's just had a respiratory issue. As the investigation into the stabbing death of New Jersey psychotherapist Brooke Hanlon continues, new details have emerged about her husband. James Connor, so he goes by Connor Hanlon, has reportedly retained an attorney and has been communicating with authorities alongside several family members. No charges have been filed in this case, a spokesperson for Morris County Prosecutor's Office told Oxygen.com, while declining to comment further. James called 911 the afternoon of June 6th after discovering Brooke unconscious at their Chester home. I just found my wife, he told the dispatchers, according to the audio that lasted 7 minutes obtained by the NJ Patch. I don't know what's going on. CPR. I need CPR instructions. He added, oh my God, there's a laceration in her chest. So you didn't see any of that blood, yet we just have the title of, oh, there's blood everywhere. Imagine that. Imagine that. So again, do I think that the husband is responsible for this? I absolutely do. I absolutely do. I think that they're looking and focusing on him. The 911 was initially logged as a cardiac respiratory arrest. That right there. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
You're a liar.
Liar.
Nice try, but you're a liar. Liar, liar, liar. Nice try, but you're a liar.
So I don't believe it. I don't think that you're going to walk into a room, see somebody stabbed to death, and mistaken it for a cardiac arrest with all that blood. There is no possibility for that lady to be stabbed multiple times without cast off. Slain, New Jersey mom, 911 called made by husband has forensic expert warning one mistake could derail the focus. I thought this was interesting. I thought maybe you guys would like to see this.
Just for context, when I read the comments that people made, I was very heartened because historically people will immediately blame anybody who does things on a 911 call that they imagine they would not do themselves. But that was not the case with most of the people who were making comments. And they said, let's not go too fast. Somebody identifying himself as a longtime investigator says he knows 100% that the man killed his wife. Now, of course, a lot of murder investigations.
But you still have to build it.
But
you still have to prove it.
You can't tell from a 911 call, and that's the unfortunate part because people very often try to. I've been involved in.
I'm sorry, I disagree with that. When in a situation where you have a person that has been stabbed, maybe not shot, because sometimes shooting suspects, if they stop the heart immediately, the heart stops pounding, and you're dead immediately, there's not going to be a whole lot of blood. Okay? You may not be able to see it unless you see the bullet wound. But with stab wounds, especially multiple stab wounds, much different animal, because every time you pull that out forcefully, it slings blood. Okay? And your heart is not stopping. So you have these huge gashes in your body that are just pumping out blood. So you're talking about a much more gruesome and bloody scene with a stabbing wound or even a baseball bat or, a beating. You're going to have a lot more blood and blood attributed and spread about in those types of crimes versus, say, like I said, with a gunshot. You're not going to get that depending on where the gunshot was, because there's a gunshot that can drop you dead as dead. And you're not going to have blood pumping out of your body, so you're going to have maybe one little drip of blood. And that's it. That's all the blood that's going to be on you or near you. So stabbing, much different. This is a stabbing, and I just don't see how somebody could walk into a room, see somebody unconscious, and not see all the blood. Like, I would be like, where did all this freaking blood come from? You know? There's blood everywhere. I mean, I'd be on there, like, freaking out, like, my wife's unconscious, but there's freaking blood everywhere. She's bleeding from something, you know? I would see that being, you would hear that in their voice. You would hear that shakiness. You would hear that raw emotion, that quivering of their voice, seeing something like that. You had nothing like that. You had somebody that appeared to be faking emotion.
Murder investigations and 911 call investigations, and I wound up, not that I tried to, with the data for what's called a natural experiment, where there were 4 or 5 911 calls about a murder that had just happened on a street corner in Brooklyn, right in front of them, broad daylight. And I use it to demonstrate how different callers can be identifying the same event. Also, everyone...
Yeah, but they also watched it happen. There's a difference. He's comparing apples to oranges here, in my opinion, because that's not what you're dealing with. This guy did not allegedly witness this happening. He came in on a unconscious wife. This is a different scenario. In my opinion.
One of these callers manifested characteristics of so-called guilt. One talked about her own problems because she was melting down from having watched this woman be shot to death. And that's supposed to be an indicator that the caller did it, instead of being concerned about
Never heard that
victim.
before.
Some people were so calm about it. So, oh yeah, well, there's a girl just got shot in front of me. Yeah, oh yeah, she's bleeding out. And that's supposed to be an indicator that this person did it. And then a woman said, oh yeah, well, I was unloading stuff from my car, and you're not...
He's talking about behaviors. He's linguistics. And he's talking about behaviors. He doesn't believe in body language. If you're linguistic, you don't believe in body language. If you're body language, you don't believe in linguistics. Just like if you're a doctor, you don't believe in chiropractors. Or excuse me, if you're a physical therapist, you don't believe in chiropractors. If you're a chiropractor, you don't believe in physical therapists. Okay? So he's talking not necessarily about linguistics. He's talking about body and language. But he's talking about multi instead of just words, and his area is words.
Supposed to, quote unquote, give extraneous detail. You're supposed to be talking about the poor victim, and that's supposed to be another indicator that they did it. And then the fourth call that I show is the woman. She's also calling, and she says, I was shot by a guy named Andre Wheatley. So none of those people were guilty. And she identified the person who actually shot her. So this is a very good example of how you cannot jump to conclusions solely from a 911 call. A little girl was kidnapped. Well, a little girl disappeared.
All right, well, let's get down to the
police forces. Why do the police buy these bogus things like voice stress analyzers? Cost thousands of dollars. Police forces buy it, and because they want to make cases. But unfortunately, they're being sold a bill of goods because the cases they make aren't valid. So that's the long and the short of 911 calls. The other thing that the comment said was, why does he have a lawyer? Well, he'd be insane not to have a lawyer.
I agree with that. Being a paralegal, I agree with that. A chilling 911 call made by the husband of the slain New Jersey, but it doesn't come down to his statements. What it comes down to is this man right here is calling 911 for his wife being unconscious, and then he's surprised, just like Ellen Greenberg. There it is. Ellen Greenberg. That's the name. He's playing the same exact thing as Ellen Greenberg. Oh, my wife is unconscious. Oh my gosh, she has a knife protruding from her chest. And we look at the photo scenes and there's literally blood smeared all over that kitchen. And it's like, you didn't see the blood? You were so shocked to see the protruding knife in her jacket, and I'm sitting here thinking a knife handle coming out of a jacket? You didn't see her jacket kind of looking like this when you walked in? Cut it out. Cut it out. So Ellen Greenberg, this guy here, same MO, same playbook, calls law enforcement, so shocked that they have a laceration or a knife sticking out of their chest, right? So this is Ellen Greenberg 2.0 right here. Ellen Greenberg 2.0. And guess what? We're going to find out that it was her boyfriend and Ellen Greenberg that PA tried to protect. PA, you guys got some problems. You guys got some problems, and you're ready to flood your street with a whole bunch of murderers. Way to flip and go, PA. Way to go. Another state I'm glad I don't live in. Way to go. Way to go. So I think we're going to ultimately find out that this man is responsible for his wife's homicide. And again, it comes back to my major question that I'm asking this morning. And the major question that I'm asking this morning, let me pause this. I don't like those videos. The major question I'm asking this morning is, why do people choose murder over divorce? Why do people choose murder over divorce? I think what we're going to find out in this case is that it does come down to money in this particular case. And I think we're going to find out she was the breadwinner. And if she divorced him, he was going to have nothing. She was going to have the kids. He was going to have nothing. He was not the breadwinner. She was the breadwinner. I think that that's what we're going to ultimately find out. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know what the husband does. I haven't gotten that invested into this case yet. I know it's starting to heat up, so we are going to probably go down some of those rabbit holes in this case in the near future, but just not right at this moment. But I do believe it's the money. I believe it's the money and the kids for this case. I believe that's what the crying guy from the other case too, the one that shot his wife in the middle of the night while his kids laid feet apart, where he was on American Idol talking about how his wife was beautiful. I remember hearing that and I thought, I got such a beautiful wife. And it dawned on me, like, that's not a normal statement from a man. Like, he didn't talk about her personality and how much he talked about her beauty. That's, I don't know. That's just, I mean, it's nice to be doted upon by your husband and called beautiful, but to have that to be one of the first things that come out of your mouth when you're being introduced on American Idol is, it just shows something about the person, in my opinion. That was a red flag to me, but way back then, when I looked at that, I'm like, it kind of just, I don't know, I just didn't sit with me well. I just saw Mom post about her stepson missing in our area. Oh my goodness. Well, send that to me. We'll see if we can debut them on the show at least and have some people look at them, you know. Alberta girl, good morning. Happy birthday. Is it Alberta girl's birthday? Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Alberta girl. Happy birthday to you. I didn't put my hat on. It was too far away. In my opinion, she knew to trust him, so she made sure everything would be taken care of. Maybe he found out he wasn't getting anything. Possibly. Maybe she was moving for divorce. I don't know. I just, you know, she looks like a sweet person. He looked like a sweet guy. And then we have a deceased woman and a guy hiring an attorney. I'm sorry. I keep trying to think, you know, the only thing that would be a plan B here is if she was having an affair or if he's having an affair. If he's having an affair, maybe another woman wanted to move her out of the way. But anything short of those things, this lady was murdered by her husband. And we know that. Why? Because history does repeat itself. And this is the Bullhorn Betty show, right? We've got our name, Bullhorn Betty, from covering domestic violence cases. I think that we would know what a domestic violence case looks like and smells like. This smells like a domestic violence case. That's what it smells like. Smells like a lot of stuff that they've had behind the scenes, you know. And so now we're getting into the one that I think it was it you, Open Mind, or somebody in the chat came in here and said talk about Angelica Brophy, and here she is right here. 44-year-old Southern California RN that dropped her child or children, a child off to summer camp. It was just her child. That's what it was. I couldn't remember if it was children or child. So there it is, child, singular. Her child from summer camp, she was supposed to pick her child up and never came back. So she dropped her child off at summer camp, and then when she was supposed to pick her child back up, she never came back. So Angelique was last seen dropping her daughter off at camp on July 6th. Before she failed to return later that day. So we know when she disappeared, it was between this time and this time, right? Because she was there, they physically saw her drop her daughter off, and then she never came back. So surveillance footage showed her leaving Harrah's Resort, Southern California casino, east of Escondido. You know, guys, I never can pronounce these California names, at around 3:30 p.m. A parking slip places her at the Palomar Mountain State Park, about 15 miles northeast, about 50 minutes later. Why would she go to a park? Brophy, an emergency room nurse at the Kaiser Permanente Hospital in San Marcos, I'm probably butchering all these names, please forgive me, has not been heard of or seen from since failing to collect her daughter. Her husband reached out to Brophy's brother, Raymond, so she has a husband, at the time, to ask whether she had contacted him. Her husband called asking if he'd heard from her. I said no. Her vehicle was discovered several days later at the Mountain State Park. It looks like 15 minutes away from where she dropped her daughter off. And her husband would have known she's dropping her daughter off. At that time, her family contacted rangers, kicked off a wide search. We found the car Thursday afternoon, and as soon as we found it, we contacted the rangers. She's dead.
Well, the search is intensifying today for Angelica Brophy, the Oceanside mother of two who's been missing for a week now. Her car was found on Palomar Mountain on Thursday, but she wasn't anywhere near it.
Today, divers searched a pond near where her car was found, but so far they haven't found anything.
NBC7's Allison Ash spoke with her family. They are joining in the efforts to try to bring her home.
Oceanside PD is handling the case, which they are referring to as a missing persons investigation. At this point, police...
And it just pisses you off because we already know that this lady's dead. Like, she dropped her child off. She hasn't been heard or seen. This was on the 6th. This was 11 days ago. They found her car at a park. Not even at a train station or a boat place or an airport. At a park, as if she was going there to unalive herself. Was she homicidal or was she suicidal? Does anybody know this case very well?
They say there is no evidence of any foul play.
Bullshit.
But the family of Angelica Brophy knows something is not right.
I'm sorry. Elements of foul play mean her car winding up in areas that they don't belong. I obviously some people don't understand the definition of foul play, but yeah, when things are popping up in places she's never been or shouldn't be, that would be indication of foul play to me.
Search and rescue divers were at Doan Pond in Palomar State Park today looking for...
And why the hell are they in the frickin' water? What would ever inspire them to believe this lady is in the water? Okay, whatever.
For any clues as to the whereabouts of 44-year-old Angelica Brophy.
She loves life, and we really just need her back. We really do need her back.
Family members say the mother of two loved hiking, but she loved her family more and would never leave them waiting and wondering if she'd ever come home.
She is one of the most wonderful, thoughtful women that I know. She's a very good mom.
Angelica Brophy was last seen Monday, July 6th, leaving Harrah's Casino. Oceanside police tried.
Why was she leaving Harrah's Casino? Is that where her daughter was being dropped off for this thing? Or was she a gambler? Did she make a lot of money? Did somebody follow her out of the casino? And because we've heard cases like that where somebody struck, $5,000-$10,000 and was followed out of the casino and robbed at gunpoint and murdered. So I've heard of cases like that before. I mean, we have a casino here in Tampa. There's been some stories from Tampa. So if it's not her husband, why was she leaving the casino? Did she work at the casino? Or did she have a gambling problem? Or did she go there just to unwind and didn't have a gamble? They say she was not suicidal. Well, then we got something else going on here. Where's the husband? Why is the husband not speaking out? Why is his sister speaking out but not him?
To ping her phone 2 days later.
Do we have her husband on here? Angelique. Why don't we see the husband? Where's the husband? Why are we got friends here speaking, but not the husband? Told Ellie and her boyfriend and his family Angelique had died of a stroke while she was at the hospital. What? This is on July 15th, a couple days. Friends speak out. Angelique Brody's friends reveal the first alarming warning sign after missing mom never showed up for work. I've never heard of this before. It says continue to read. I've never heard of 10filmus.com before. Is this an AI? A friend of the missing nurse, the mom, has spoken out about warning signs she noticed after the 44-year-old vanished on July 6th and has not been seen since. They say she drove to a state park after making a trip to Harrah's Resort in Southern California before she disappeared. Why was she at Harrah's? Didn't work there. She's a nurse. That's right, Maury. You're right. So did she have a gambling problem? Because if she had a gambling problem and just lost a shit ton of money, maybe she went to the park because she was distraught over that, I mean, I don't know. I don't know too many people that disappear after going to a casino. Why was she at a casino? Brody was last seen on surveillance camera leaving a casino resort at 3:40 on July 6th before heading toward Palomar Mountain State Park, where she parked. Receipts show she arrived at 4:20. Wasn't she supposed to pick up her daughter? She's an emergency room nurse, did not return home that night, and failed to show up for work. So she dropped her daughter off at this thing, went to the casino. It seems like she was going to hang out at the casino that day and then go and pick up her daughter. But instead of going and picking up her daughter, her car was moved from the casino to this Palomar Mountain State Park. Who was she? Now, I know casinos, and they have cameras all over the place at casinos, or at least should. So, I don't know. Not sure. That's what I'm guessing. Maybe she went there just for fun. She arranged a friend to pick up her. She didn't arrange a friend to pick up her kid because she was supposed to pick up her kid, but it sounds like she was only a little ways down from where she dropped her daughter off. Was said her wallet and passport and dead phone were in her car. carries around their passport? Her watch ping near there was said. I think she was followed after winning in the casino. Sounds like somebody robbed her out in the frickin' parking lot and took her car somewhere. But why isn't she found in her car? Because usually if they're going to take her for money and stuff, they're going to, you know, but she's in that park. Are we sure she's not buried in that park somewhere? They said she had some sort of membership at Harrah's. Not sure, but that's what I'm guessing. She may have went there for fun. She entered the national park and was seen alone getting a pass. This is starting to really feel like, it feels like a couple things rolled into one, because we've got Paola Miranda Rosa that we covered out there in the state park in Orlando, Osceola area. Otter Creek is where she disappeared from, and they believe a gator got her, but I've seen gator attacks, and they're pretty obvious. You find ripped clothes, you find, you know, just items from them floating about. They did a test of the water. There was none of her DNA in the water. They tested it a long time after she disappeared, so it's possible that if there were DNA in the water, it just wasn't there anymore, you know? And but that, it reminds me of that, but it also reminds me of Micah Miller. You know, Micah Miller purchased a pistol and went out and to a park all alone and did herself in. But this is strange. If they've got her on camera alone going to this park and never leaving this park, either something, but why would this just doesn't make sense? And all of her belongings are in the car, and she went there alone, and nobody was following her. Well, then this is this feels almost like she did this, which is bizarre to me. You know, the question would be why. So Brody was last seen on surveillance camera leaving the casino resort around 3:30 on July 6, heading toward Palomar Mountain State Park, where her parking receipt shows she arrived at 4:20. So that was 40 minutes later. It was 40 minutes later. Brody and an emergency nurse did not return to work, okay, which prompted her husband to report her missing around 9:30. So he waited till 9:30 and he didn't hear or see her, and he's like, where's my wife? Where's my kid? And reports her. Okay, so this is 3 days later. Her car was found abandoned in the parking lot at the state park, with a massive search effort ensued involving deputies, drones, K-9 teams, volunteers, search and rescue teams. Police were unable to ping the mother of two's phone, so they were unable to ping it. I believe it was either a dead battery or was switched off. So a mom's not going to have a dead battery. She's just not. Not with being in a car. She would have had that thing plugged up. So, guys, this is starting to look like she did this to herself. The more I'm reading this, the more I'm seeing her doing this. So the question is, did she just run away from her family, or did she go out there to commit self-harm? Was she an unhappy person? Or did she meet with foul play? Did she go for a walk and stretch her legs? Maybe she's an avid outdoorsman like Rachel Morin, and she went to this park often, and that she was bludgeoned and pulled to the side of the, we don't know. That's what happened to Rachel Morin. She never showed back up at home after going to a park. But this is a park that she was accustomed to going to regularly to work out around the same time. And she never came home, and her new boyfriend, reported her missing. Everybody thought her boyfriend did something to her because they were just in a new relationship and they were moving very quickly, and he was much younger than she was. And come to find out, it was an illegal immigrant that came in here that was responsible for essaying a 12-year-old in Los Angeles and took a plane all the way over to the east coast of the United States and murdered this woman after sexually assaulting her. Search efforts have continued in days since, and now co-workers of hers are speaking out about the night she vanished. I showed up for work Monday night, and she did not. I reached out to one of the girls from our group, and she hadn't heard from her either. A friend and fellow night shift nurse told Fox affiliate KUSI. And then I found out that her husband was contacting the hospital to see if she had shown up for work, and that kind of when the alarms was sounded. So it sounds like her husband may not have anything to do with this, folks. The friend said Brody is an avid hiker. Okay, so that explains something. But said the circumstances of the last moment was seen are unusual. So she wasn't planning on going here, but yet she showed up here. She has hiked a lot with one of our other friends, but never under these sort of circumstances. I mean, alone, without telling anyone, she said. So people are saying this is not right. So it's making me feel, but her phone being turned off, her being seen going in here alone, this is telling me something more is going on in this woman's life. Oceanside Police Department Chief of Police, Toronto, whatever, said on Tuesday they are treating this case as an open investigation until the 44-year-old is found. He also said there is no evidence of foul play at this time and that the department will continue to work with the family and local agencies conducting the search efforts. We don't really know what we're supposed to do, and no one guides you, Brophy's friend told KUSI. So she's an avid hiker. So here's the let me save this map. So it kind of tells you where all she went, but it doesn't tell you, where she dropped her daughter off, but you can see it's all down here in southern, right on the border. So I don't know, folks. I mean, this can really go in anyway. So at this point, we're sort of taking a grassroots effort and trying to find areas to search. Sunday divers from California State Park searched the pond at Palomar's Mountain State Park, but did not find anything. The search of the pond resumes on Monday with assistance of San Diego Harbor Police, but efforts were again unsuccessful. Going forward, we'll continue to work with California State Park team. I don't know what's going on with her, guys, but if she went into that park alone and nobody was following her, there's only a couple of things that go through my mind. She was met with foul play on the trail, like Rachel Morin, and she's been bludgeoned to death and maybe assaulted and just waiting to be found, or she went back there to commit self-harm. I just find it awfully interesting that she went to a casino, and shortly after leaving a casino she goes to a park when she's supposed to be going to pick up her daughter. So she goes into this park. She doesn't call any family or friends to tell them she's going hiking. Hiking is one of those things that you should not do by yourself, especially if you and if you are going to do it by yourself, you need to be letting people know where you are, because any avid hiker knows that there's a lot of things that can happen to you hiking. You can fall in a hole, you can break your ankle, you can injure yourself, you can accidentally get a snake bite. There are just a lot of different things that can happen to you. We had a local lady took her kids to daycare and then did self-harm. She was allegedly. Yeah. So there's something here where she's, if it's true, if they have cameras at that park and she's the one that physically got her ticket to go in that park and there was nobody in her car and nobody was following her, folks, that's why they're saying no foul play, because she did something to herself. Her phone's turned off, her keys, her wallet, in her passport or in her car? This is not looking good, but it's not looking, and you know what? Her husband would be the best source of information. He would know if she's depressed. He would know if she was not acting herself. He would know if she's got a gambling problem. You know, he would know what's truly going on in his wife's life. And so would her friends. Have her friends seen her depressed? There's her car. I mean, for being I would expect a nurse to be, I'm not dogging. I mean, she is in California, so their cost of living is much higher than it is anywhere else. I would just expect her to be, and it's a newer car, but I would just expect her to be in something that's, more in line of like $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 car, Casinos should know where and what games she played. Why in the hell? She has kids. That is gold. I get it, but you know what? People, depression is depression, and it hits people, and people don't go and address it. So Manny, another brother of Brody's, said the family has been struggling with the uncertainty surrounding her disappearance. We're all in a state of limbo right now. It's hard to move without any leads, and there's not going to be any leads because it doesn't seem like she called anybody or talked to anybody. So we've got a lady here that's missing in our, out there in the land, but we don't know, why or what happened to her. And of course, there's a vigil being held for her as the search continues to find her. But she's been gone so long. She's been gone so long that the presumption of death is great in this case. Now, if she pulled massive amounts of money out of her card, her bank, then we would probably be looking at this case like maybe she's on the run, like she wanted to leave everything behind and get a fresh start, even with children. Listen, folks, some great parents do that, and there's no telling why. They're great parents. Nobody would believe that they would ever leave their children. And then we find out that, they've left their children. I mean, there was this one lady that was just arrested. She's been on the run. She's been missing. Her family reported her missing 20 years ago. And she's found alive, living with another man in another life. And people are asking, how did she do that to her family? She just walked away from her kids and everything. And it's because she was being abused by her husband, allegedly. But she also ran from a court hearing, so they ended up arresting her for her warrant for arrest of that court hearing that she absconded from 20 some odd years ago. So there are women that just walk away from their family because there's abuse in that household. The abuse is not on the children, it's on them. So they leave the household, so they save their life while their children live there because their children were never being abused. They were. There are situations like that, but this lady was an RN. She seemed like she would have had all of the numbers to call if she was in an abusive relationship, if she was having problems, if she was having mental health problems. Her being an RN, she should have known who to go to. Would she have been on restricted, because an RN license is highly regulated by the board, the nursing board. It's highly, highly, highly regulated with the nursing board, but they're the ones that make the decisions for you. There's no other place. So if you're having mental health issues, if you're having substance abuse issues, they're the ones that make the criteria for you keeping your license. So for example, if you've been caught drinking on the job, you most likely could lose your license. If they can't prove it beyond definitive, like maybe you just came with booze on your breath from the night before, which is a possibility. Maybe they may decide to, instead of firing you or pulling your RN license, they may decide to put you on probation for the next year where you have to take piss tests, every other day. And you've got to pay for those piss tests to have your license. That's what the nursing board's requirements are, right? So if you were depressed or had mental health challenges, would they force you to restrict your ability to be an RN? Would they change some of that stuff? I don't know how that would affect her RN license, and would that prevent her from being able to go and even talk to a specialist about it because she doesn't want to have it in her mental health affect her license. We don't know what those criteria would be, you know, with that nursing board, because this is California. They have different criteria in California. When I got my CNA, when I was getting my CNA license, I was going because I had, you know, I had the substance abuse issue. I was at the Tammy house when I got it. And it was really more because I was selling insurance at the time. It was really more to understand the process of what CNAs do, because I was selling home health care and long-term care policies. So I'd like to see what it is. So I went to learn the course, but I also thought, you know, it'd be a fallback, you know, plan. If I didn't do well in insurance, I would have this medical license that I could go work in a hospital or something like that. And because of my substance abuse history, they wanted piss test. I had to be an LP or an RN, CNA. I had to work as a CNA. I couldn't just get the licensing and leave it dormant. I literally had to work for a business in order to get my license for a business and regularly take urinalysis to make sure I wasn't using substances at the time, because I was honest with my, my filling out of the paperwork and stuff like that. So had I not been selling insurance and I needed the money, I would have paid for the urinalysis to get the CNA license. So, and that's all done by the nursing board. So I absolutely know for a fact that the nursing board is very, very strict. Even though there had been, I think it was like 5, I can't remember exactly when when I was going in for my license, but I remember I had been sober several years. You know, it wasn't like I had just gotten sober or something. I had been sober several years, and when I went to go get the license. So even after being sober several years, I want to say it was like 5 plus years, they still wanted the urinalysis. So just to let you know how far back it went. I still believe, with it being my first time getting in the nursing license, even if I had these things 15 years back, they would have still wanted some type of probationary period, even though somebody had been sober. Like, they are very, very, very strict when it comes to nursing. So if you wonder why a lot of people lost their nursing certificate that were celebrating or saying they wouldn't help somebody with red caps or this, that, and the other, it's because of this. They're very, very, very strict, because at the end of the day, they're there to salvage and save lives, not destroy them. And when people have certain show certain characteristics that do not bode with their license, they will pull it, and they have every authority to pull it, and there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. You can challenge it, but most of the time you will not get it back. You'll spend a lot of money because the nursing board is that powerful. Maybe she was having an affair and he was a crazy. It's possible. Maybe she was meeting him out there for a little something, something. Yeah, I can see that happening. Thanks for the long live. Enjoyed it. Oh, that's sparkly Gma. I'm glad you did. It's nice to see you. Yeah, I knew that this was going to be fairly long because, again, I don't have any structured conversation pieces on a specific case. You know, this is kind of bringing a lot of different breaking news cases into one fold. And we do this sometimes as we're kind of, you know, when we're in transition between cases, which we are, because in all fairness, Nancy Guthrie's case is really as far as it's going to go. I mean, people are going to go out there and try to keep the case, you know, attention. And when I'm boots on the ground, that's exactly what I do. That's exactly what we did with Sebastian Rogers' case. So I understand why they're doing it. It's just that I'm not involved in the boots on the ground aspect of it. I'm involved in the commentary aspect of it and the reporting aspect of it from Florida. And there's only so much you can commentate on and talk about with the case because the case is dormant. Nobody's really speaking about the case. We're getting very little updates, if any, directly related to the case. And so what that does is it creates a vacuum where you really start going down these rabbit holes and conspiracy theories. And I just don't get into that. I think it complicates things. It gets people calling in to the law enforcement offices with different theories and stuff that they don't need to be hassled with, and I just don't engage in that. When we have something probative about these cases, I like talking about them, but when they start getting into that dormant area, not that they're dormant like people aren't paying attention to them anymore, when information becomes dormant, then and we have to start regurgitating or recycling old news to make it new news. I don't like getting into that some people do it very, very well. It drives me nuts because I hate hearing the same thing over and over and over again just to have something to talk about. I don't know. I feel like if I don't like it, then the people that I present to wouldn't like it either. If it annoys me, it's got to annoy somebody else. That's the way I look at it. But like I said, some people are very crafty and are able to regurgitate things and present them different way and keep the attention of the audience. I feel like when I lose my attention, my audience loses their attention because I'm not attentive to it, And so maybe it's my fault, but when it comes to Miss Nancy Guthrie, I mean, we've gone through so many different topics. We've really looked at this case from several different angles. It's not getting us any closer to the suspect. No matter what we say, no matter any suggestion we give, they're not being followed. Like Jennifer Coffindaffer suggested like months ago that they start putting billboards together with the subject, the porch guy, the image of the porch guy, and ask if anybody knows who this is, and they won't do it. So it's like, we can only do so much, and when we get kind of nuggets where we see law enforcement in the government, even though they push back on social media, but we see them keeping us on track and making sure we don't get too far off base. When we see that they're kind of cooperating with social media and giving social media what they need so they don't start getting in all these conspiracy theories, then we'll stay with that case. But when we start getting the sheriff or the law enforcement body creating a vacuum that they like to club us over the head with, like conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Like, I'm sorry, I've worked with a lot of law enforcement for a long time, and you know what they've always taught me? They've always told me that we take the facts and we look at the facts and what do those things speak to us? And that is speculating. That is theorizing. So they speculate and theorize to give them avenues to go down for research and search and leads. So this whole thing about, we don't want the audience to speculate. What do you think law enforcement does all day long when they have all of these facts and they don't know what they mean? They speculate about what they mean. This could mean this, and this. Okay, well, now we have four possibilities here. So now let's go down these avenues and find out which avenue it is. That's how we get things done. So I'm so sick and tired about this whole ordeal of, we can't speculate or theorize. Conspiracy theories are different than speculating on facts, okay? Conspiracy theories are basically unfactual things on top of unfactual things on top of unfactual things, and that's where we get the alien beam down and pick the person up and now they're gone because they're going into the third world, right? So that's how we get those things. That's how we get, it must have been a ninja that came down and karate chopped, and we get those things. So we're not going to be conspiracy theorists, which I still believe a lot of people try to use conspiracy theory for proper theorization and theorizing. But either way, I digress. I still believe that is the best way. So now we're starting to hear about some text messages, some cryptic last messages, according to some family friends. A devastating nurse has told USS Sun that the cryptic final message she received from missing mom before her mysterious disappearance sparked a desperate search for answers. Ashley Sheets, 38, has worked with Angelique Brophy for 3 years and formed a strong bond with the 44-year-old and her fellow emergency room nurse. And then again, we kind of have the last known movements. The pair enjoyed line dancing and spending time with each other away from the Kaiser Santa Marco Hospital in Santa Marco, California. But upon hearing Brophy was missing, Sheets has been unable to come to terms with her friend's increasing perilous situation. More than a week after Brophy vanished on July 6, family and friends and co-workers gathered Wednesday evening for a candlelight vigil as search efforts continue across Palomar Mountain State Park. Brophy was last seen leaving Harrah's Resort, Southern California in Valley Center around 3:40 p.m., according to investigators. Authorities say records show she purchased a parking pass for Palomar Mountain State Park about 4:20. That was about 40 minutes later. She never returned home and failed to report to her scheduled shift that night. Her husband Brent reported her missing later that evening after unsuccessfully trying to contact her. 3 days later, Brophy's gray Hyundai Kona was found abandoned in the parking lot of Palomar Mountain State Park. That sparked a large-scale search. Sheets, who's lovingly refers to the close group of friends, which Brophy is part of, the Taco Bellas, our guilty pleasure on the night shift, recalls heartbreaking last time she heard from her friends. Our group of 5 is extremely close, Sheets told us. We all met when we opened the hospital together. We all are night shift nurses. Sometimes it was chaotic, but often there was a lull. We became very close and talked about deeper things. Her message in our group chat was thanking us for being such great friends, but that's something we did all the time. I have 4 children, so I still find that her last message was her thanking all those friends. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really starting to feel like this is the more I read about this case, folks, the more all the indicators are there that this is self-harm. I would hate to say that. I mean, I don't know this lady, so it's hard for me to say that about anybody, that I don't know. But, the phone, the passport, the wallet, the keys, her going to this park, her backing her car in. Did you guys notice the car was backed in? The car was backed in. That's intentional, folks. That's exactly what Brian Laundrie did. He backed the Mustang into the parking lot. Guys, this has a lot of self-harm indicators in it. It has a lot of self-harm indicators in it. She's going to be within 2 miles of that car. I bet you she's within 2 miles of that car. I bet you she's within 2 miles of that car. But she is a hiker, so maybe, I still think 2 miles, 2.5 miles, but 5 miles maybe. I think 2 miles. We were expressing appreciation for one another, so that wasn't unusual. We said those kind of things all the time. Looking back now, though, it almost feels cryptic. At the time, it wasn't, but it does now. So I think even her friends are starting to feel like maybe this is self-harm. Cops have said they have been unable to locate Brophy's cell phone and believe it was either turned off or had a dead battery and was left in the car. Well, if they got the car back, they should be able to turn it on to see if the battery was completely dead or not. While Sheets understands that she left her wallet behind, leaving her phone behind is harder to understand and signaled a red flag. I think it's odd, she continued, leaving your wallet isn't something strange, but leaving her phone, she's smart. If she's going hiking, she would normally have some kind of safety net. She says alarm bells rang when Brophy failed to arrive to work. Now we're going to circle back to Sebastian Rogers. If you guys didn't see this, let me move my big old mug. Let me find, there I am. Let me move that mug. See, we got Sebastian right there in the thumbnail. So you guys had to know that I was going to be referring to some of Sebastian Rogers stuff as we were coming into this show. So we are winding down our show, and to let you know, we don't know why Sebastian Rogers disappeared, but I keep finding it awfully interesting that over and over again we seem to be coming across SA assailants out there in the area, and it's just something that I'm noticing, and I know that it has a lot to do with their new funding funding, their federal funds that they're trying to get from the federal government. So unfortunately, Sebastian Rogers is not profitable for Hendersonville because there's no federal grants to go and look for him. There are federal grants that are coming out to help find all the CSAM and the people that are part of this underground disgusting, whatever. And so our federal government is paying sheriffs all over the country under these federal grants to go out and find these disgusting individuals. So Sumner County is able to hire more staff because of this federal funding that's coming out, and they're able to go out and find all these people that are exploiting these minors or creating CSAM or purchasing CSAM or whatever the case may be. And so that's where their focus is. So every time I see one of these people going to jail, I'm very happy that you're getting these scumbags that are keeping these children in harm's way off the street. But it always makes me wonder what happened to Sebastian Rogers. Did any of these creeps, have anything to do with it? Which I don't believe they did, because you guys know who I believe did something to Sebastian Rogers. But it does show you how many creeps are living in the community. And I wish there was a federal grant for people to find their missing children in their community, not just the CSAM. I believe Sumner County can walk and chew gum, but they choose not to. I think they've intentionally and willfully thwarted the case of Sebastian Rogers to help their friends. Their friends, if we remember, the sheriff is a Navy person. Chris and Katie are Navy people. And I think their Navy bond has obscured their view of what the reality of this case really is. But I did want to point out that if you play diddle with kids or create CSAM or purchase CSAM, you are looking at major time in jail. This man right here is facing over 100 years, and I really don't care if they burn him at the stake. Anybody that touches children deserves a special place in hell in my book, and I don't think people in my chat would disagree with me too much. We're not going to go back through the story of Sebastian Rogers or the fact that his father is suing Sumner County Sheriff's Department as well as the Department of Children and Family Services in that community for failing his son, which they absolutely did. We've been screaming from the rooftops for over 2 years of all the failures that they've had. We've known these failures. They've been in our face, and they wanted to, instead of trying to correct them and do better and do right by Sebastian, they just kept doing worse, and they just kept hiding and lying for the people that most likely hurt this child. And so Seth had said he had had enough. He's been trying to find somebody to help him fight, and he found a partner in his attorney to help him fight these monsters that have poured salt into the gaping wound of his son being missing. And we're going to continue to fight right along with Seth as we have. We lost our freedom over this case. This corrupted community tried to take my voice and tried to bankrupt us because we were fighting right along with his dad. These are the same people that flipped his dad off. This is the same sheriff that ran inside the building because he didn't want to speak to a father of a missing boy in his community. These are coward pieces of garbage that are running this county. And I hope if you are in Tennessee, more importantly Sumner County, you fire these SOBs, all of them. The commission, those listen, quit hiring women to be in county commission. I'm sorry. I'm anti-women county commission. Okay, they are too mommy and it's for the kids, so we're gonna sell the whole entire county out for the kids. I'm done with it. I'm done. I've become a very sexist woman in politics because I'm an alpha female. I trust people that are alpha females, but all too many times we hire the ladies that speak sweet, that are so sweet. They're not alpha females. So you know what they do? They get into office and they just want to be liked, right? They want to be nurturing. They want to find a way. They want to, no. Government is government, okay? Government is government. There's very specific core issues government is supposed to solve. Anything else, you find other people to do it. And all too many times, we have men and women on these Board of County Commissioners making these terrible decisions that affect their entire county, and they were never hired to make those decisions, yet they thwarted the will of the people to be part of the good old boy system or to have their next election paid for by the developers and other sleazy, slimy people. So at the end of the day, Seth Rogers is fighting the government of Sumner County to get off their blessed ass and go find his son. And they refuse to get off their blessed ass and go find their son. And when he wants to ask them why aren't they getting off their ass to go find his son, they want to dodge and duck, bob, and weave a father. They have violated his victim rights. They have violated his civil rights. They have made him feel completely like shit for wanting to know where his son is. Meanwhile, they don't even care. All they're worried about is profiting off the federal government to go find the CSAM, because that's the only thing bringing revenue to their community. They can't even look for the 15-year-old because the 15-year-old's taking money out of their community, and they're trying to find ways to put money into their community. Into their coffers, not even in the community, just into their coffers, because they want more money. They want more raises off the backs of the taxpayers. And they can't get money off the backs of the taxpayers except for so much. They can only raise their taxes so much. They have to find other avenues for revenue because they can never live within their means. And now you have a situation where they're chasing all the CSAM for federal funds. Meanwhile, the criminals that live in their neighborhoods that are literally murdering their children, they don't have time for because they're too busy chasing that federal fund. I just want to ask Sumner County, what does it feel like to be a federal fund fiend? Can't even do your own job without being paid for by the federal government, by we the people. Why? Because you got $200 million siphoned from you? Well, maybe you should learn to quit arresting people that don't deserve to be arrested. Maybe you'd find that federal funds would be there for you. Federal funds would be there for you. They're a joke. They've always been a joke. This is Sumner County. This is exactly what I said would happen in Nancy Guthrie's case at the very beginning when I identified that we are dealing with Sumner County 2.0. And of course, Sumner County has not disappointed, and neither has Pima County. Neither has Pima County. So you guys have all heard the story about Sebastian Rogers. You guys have all heard that his father is now suing Sumner County and the Department of Children and Family Services, and the allegations that are contained within those important documents that were filed are alarming, and they're now officially on public record. Guys, Chris and Katie are terrible. We knew that going into this case, and they tried to silence me through legalese and unlawful legal practices. So I'm coming to spank that ass in the court system, I tell you what, and I'm sure that Seth Rogers is going to do the absolute same. So, you know what? This is all I got to say for every single blessed person out there in Sumner County that created this situation, including that family, that piece of shit family. F-A-F-O, motherfuckers. Have a great day. God bless. See you on the flip side.